Hey guys, welcome to episode 197 of 4PlayerAnimecast. We are in the latter half, right? We just have this episode and then one more episode to go before we finish off with our spring 2022 reviews. Uh, we're actually pretty much going into summer, right? Because this is the approaching the end of May. We are currently in today's 28th of May, Memorial Day weekend, for those of you in the United States here. So, pretty quiet. We're going to do these two episodes, go straight on to previews, and hopefully, we'll be on track to hit the summer season while all the episode ones are coming out. It's going to be it might be a little bit iffy depending on schedule, but hopefully, things will be decent and, Japan won't go into another freaking lockdown while all this happens. Anyways, I am your host Spire, and with me are my usual compatriots, Near,
Hey,
Toast,
Spire, why didn't you come to ASIN with me?
I apologize, uh, and Dark.
Hello.
All right, so the gang's all gathered here. Let's quickly start off with our 2 weeks. Near, how has your past 2 weeks been? Brief summary, please.
well, I've been raiding a lot in Final Fantasy. We have been trying to do the new ultimate that came out. Which, if you don't know, ultimates in Final Fantasy are like these super hard, like multi-phase raids that come out. Like there's usually only 2 of them in an expansion. And this one, I think the World of First guys said it was like a 19-minute long encounter. And it's pretty fucking hard. It's quite difficult. And we've been trying to prog that. So that's been taking up quite a bit of my time. Other than that, I've gotten back into Shadowverse.
You say that every time.
Yeah,
So
but
you've gotten back to it. You come back every expansion, don't you?
pretty much, yeah. I mean, the mini expansion came out like a week or 2 ago, I think, and it's kind of fun. Some of the deck archetypes that I actually enjoy playing got some pretty good cards. Buff Dragon is like actually good now. Earthright Rune is a bit more consistent, so I've been playing those. But yeah, other than that, not too much. Keeping up with some of the stuff that's currently airing. I watched a bunch of Danseur, which I'll be covering, and other than that, not too much.
But near. Did you watch Morbius?
Uh, I mean, I quote unquote watched Morbius. Like I didn't really watch Morbius. I kind of just had it on in the background while some other friends were watching it. But yes, I have watched Morbius. It is not a good movie. I'd say that. It's it's kind of shit. It's
I
kind of bad.
think the first
Doesn't
half
seem
of
like a good
Morbius is
bad movie either.
okay. Like the
Does this
first
seem
half of
like a
Morbius
very
is okay.
superhero-based movie?
Before
The first half of Morbius, nothing happens.
exactly.
Like he gets surrounded by bats, and then he like is still sick. Like
I mean, that's the good part of the movie. It's where he's like, "Oh, I'm dealing with my Morbius, my morbing out."
The
But
thing
then the
is,
second half,
it's Morbid time.
when he gains control over his power, it's like, "Oh, now it's really boring."
but he never does. He never does gain control over his
The,
powers.
the,
The
the
whole
thing is, it's
point.
like they tried to roll it like Venom, but they failed because they don't know like what
Are you
what to do, right?
are you
I
sure they
mean,
failed? Because he did say he was Venom.
yeah, he has. So he.
You remember that scene
Here's
there?
the dumbest thing. So there's 2 lines in this movie that where the writers obviously just didn't give a shit, right? And I'm not gonna go too big into Morbius here. That's all I'm gonna say. But there's two lines. There's the first line, where he gets arrested, right? Because he gets framed for killing some lady or whatever, right? But the cops are like interviewing him, and he says some stupid shit where he's like, "I'm hungry. You won't like me when I'm hungry," and it's like,
Isn't
shut the
that
fuck up, just shut up.
Isn't
And
that the
then
Snickers line?
No,
Hey,
that's
no,
the Hulk, but
it's the
hungry
Hulk.
instead of
Yeah,
angry.
like it's a obvious Hulk reference, which is like, you're not in the MCU, go fuck yourself. But also, he has this other line where he like follows these like drug dealers or whatever. I don't even remember what they are. But he's essentially he's like, I'm taking your lab, like I'm taking it over. And he has to like break this drug dealer dude's hand. Um, and the drug dealer guy is like, "Who are you?" or whatever. And for whatever reason, like I have no idea why they would write this into the movie, keep it in to the final edit. But he says, "I am Venom." Haha, just kidding. And it's like, huh?
That means
Well,
Near. That
what?
means
Obviously,
That means
that's
yeah,
because they're both in the same universe.
yeah,
Yeah,
Near.
but
Do
nobody
you get it?
knows, like, nobody in New York City knows about Venom. Like, so why would you
Yes,
have
because
that
they're
line in?
big comic book fans.
I mean, there's also this is the last thing I'm gonna say. There's also the end credit scene
Oh,
where
that yeah.
fucking Michael Keaton, who if you don't know, is Vulture in the MCU, for some reason gets teleported into the Sonyverse for some reason, um, and he gets let out of prison, and then somehow he gets his MCU gear back, even though he's in a different universe, and then he meets up with Morbius for
Is that kind of like the whole like whenever in like the DC universe,
Or
it's
maybe it's
like
alternate Michael Keaton, you know?
Lex Luthor lets everybody out or Joker lets everybody out. It's kind of like that shit all
Wait,
over
so he
again.
gets
well,
his Vulture gear back?
yes, he has
Yeah.
his Vulture gear from the MCU in the
But
Sony
Why would he be
universe
in prison?
because
because
he,
he gets arrested in the MCU.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
who arrested him in Morbius?
No, he gets teleported
You
into
know.
prison
Oh, he
into the
actually gets
Sonyverse.
teleported.
Yeah.
And then because there's apparently no Michael Toombs in the Sonyverse, right? So they release him because it's like, well, we can't just
Yeah,
keep
who
this
the
guy in
fuck are
prison
you?
because
we don't
we
know who
don't
you
know what
are.
he's even done. And so they release him, and then somehow they don't explain how because it's an end credit scene. He gets his Vulture gear back, his MCU Vulture gear back. He meets up with Morbius, and he goes like, "We should go deal with Spider-Man." And
Wait,
it's like,
Yeah,
Spider-Man's
so
not there.
it's like what
Spider-Man
I said about
How
the
would
isn't
they?
DC. It's like the
Spider-Man
Marvel.
isn't in this universe and has not been mentioned a single time in this universe.
Oh, really? They don't even
Yeah.
mention him.
He's
No,
not in this universe. No.
he's never been
Wait, so then
mentioned in Venom. He's never
Morbius
been
wouldn't
mentioned
know
in
about
Morbius.
Spider-Man. Why would
And
Morbius know about
and
Spider-Man?
yeah, the Vulture meets up with Morbius and goes, "We should go deal with Spider-Man." And Morbius goes, "Intriguing." He doesn't go, "Who the fuck is Spider-Man?" He
What
goes,
the-
"That's a good idea, actually."
Wait,
It's
does
like,
how does
what?
it? Wait, but also, how does Morbius even know who the Vulture is?
He
Like,
doesn't.
he
He doesn't.
even know who he is.
He's just like, I was
He
told
just
to meet up this guy, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
he
no.
just drives out into the middle of nowhere, and then Vulture like flies in, and he goes, "Uh, hey Doc." I don't even remember what he says, but he's like, "Hey Doc, we should team up and do some
Something like
good
that.
deeds and deal with Spider-Man." And Morbius just goes, intriguing, and then the credits roll. It's like
But yeah,
nobody
Near.
nobody thought this out.
Near, do you
It's
know what
so
this is
stupid.
setting up?
That's awesome.
I know what it's setting up. They're trying to
Yeah,
do the
it's
Sinister Six as they
pretty much.
did they tried to do at the end of fucking Amazing Spider-Man 2. But that went nowhere, obviously. Because these movies that are just so painfully like Sony Studios driven are just like unwatchable. They're fucking garbage. Like, but that's my
Yeah.
Morbius rant.
Honestly, for a
Yeah, I'm
second,
gonna
I
have
really
to
thought
put a
when you said
timestamp
Michael
on that
Keaton was in
for.
it, I didn't realize, like, I thought you were gonna reveal that it's like just Michael Keaton for no particular fucking reason.
No, he's
And they
the
were gonna,
Vulture.
like, yeah, I thought they were gonna forget that they were, like, Marvel and thought, we were shit, so it must be DC. And being like,
No.
hey, remember Michael Keaton? Like,
Also,
yeah?
was that Tyrese in Morbius as the cop? That was Tyrese, right?
Yeah.
That was a waste of man. Those two characters. What were they
Yeah.
even doing? There's like they're just there and then they leave.
I
They're not
mean,
very
so
good.
apparently he signed up for the project because he was told he was going to get a superhero role, but he's just
Oh
a
no.
cop. He's just a detective, so he probably got burned really hard.
Yeah, exactly.
But
The
yeah.
real heroes, you mean.
Yeah. But yeah,
Anyways.
that's my 2 weeks.
Yeah. We had to get that Morbius out. I understand. We had to get
Yeah,
that
I
Morbius out
had
of our
I had to warm
face.
out a
Yeah.
little bit. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
Anyways.
Actually, yeah, that's my other question too. Don't they mention, like, because I've seen this, do they actually just like make it a point to point out like a dozen different times that, like, yeah, Morbius, he is a vampire. Like, he indeed
Yes.
is a vampire.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
that's pretty
they're
sick.
they're constantly like, oh, the victims were drained of their blood,
yeah. It's
kind of
called
like a vampire of sorts.
it's called the Vampire Murders. So yeah.
Yeah, like it's so annoying.
That's sick. Also, are there other vampires in this universe?
It,
Like,
The
there,
Doctor is the antagonist vampire.
yeah,
I don't even know his name.
yeah, Milo.
Yeah.
This movie does the same thing that Venom does, where the villain is
the villain is a richer,
it's
like,
the
more
same
unhinged
guy basically. Yeah,
That's
it's the same
sick.
guy.
That's
He's
so
rich,
cool.
and he's
I
got the
love
same
that.
powers. It's super awesome slow mo CG fight. Yeah, super cool.
Anyways, that was. I think we should wrap up the Morbius
Yeah.
talk for now. Thank you.
I'm
We have to get it out of our
I'm ready
system.
for
I think
Morbius
I agree
too.
that we had
Yeah,
to
I
get
mean,
it out
we
of the
had
system.
to.
Yeah.
We can't
Yeah.
not discuss the movie.
We
to
can't even discuss
sweep
anime
the
before
upcoming
Morbius.
Oscars.
This is how
First
it goes.
first
It's
movie that
just-
sold 1 trillion tickets. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 trillion ticket sales. It's gonna
It's-
sweep the Oscars. It's gonna sweep the whatever upcoming anime awards are coming up. It's gonna sweep it too.
Who made this? A1 Pictures? A1 Pictures made this, right?
Hell yeah,
A1
dude.
Pictures wish
It's
they
why
made
that was
Morbius.
bad, right? This is
They're begging to work on Morbius too.
yeah. This is why it was bad, right? It was made by A1 Pictures. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, Trigger did the first half. So
Yeah, exactly. Up till the part where the bats took them away.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyways, thank you, Near. Moving on to Toast.
Hello.
2 weeks, please.
I saw Morbius.
Anything else, Toast?
I mean, nothing is as good as Morbius.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Nothing compares.
Oh Jesus.
There was that one new Niji Sanji girl, I guess. We already talked a little bit
Mhm.
about her, but
Yeah, before the podcast.
Hyakuman Tenbar Salome. She's a commoner who strives to be an Ojo-sama, and she only did that because what's that guy's name? Niji
The
Sanji?
Niji Sanji main guy, the founder.
No,
I forget.
because she talked to Joe Rikichi, and he was all like, if you can't get in Niji Sanji, pick an Ojo-sama character and you'll get in, and I guess that worked because she directly mentioned that on stream and on her debut, and I was like, oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Okay. Anything else?
She's the fastest YouTuber to hit 500K, and she's pretty funny to watch. So check her out.
All right. Well,
Also,
thank you.
yeah, I didn't. I was supposed to go to ASEN last week to see
Ah.
Gargura and Hakos Bales at Anime Central,
Mhm.
but they went back on their COVID prevention policy where it was mandatory to wear masks and stuff and your vaccines. then they're like, oh, it's recommended, but we're not going to enforce it that well. And I'm like, oh, then no thanks.
Yeah. That's
It's already a danger zone with regulations. If you make it worse, then no thanks.
yeah. No, it's. I mean, like I understand. I mean, I understand. People want to go
Listen,
there, but
bud, we're
it's
trying
good
to
that you keep
we're
it
trying
safe.
to spread a new virus now. Okay, we can't be having all these regulations. All right,
Monkeypox,
monkeypox is
yeah.
in. It's
NFT
in.
pox.
Oh yeah.
Okay, all
Speaking
my
of
links in my blood.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
speaking of NFTs, I heard what is it? Joe, is it Joe Rogan? Not Joe Rogan.
Joe
Who's the guy?
Biden.
No.
Joe Biden's NFT.
Joe Biden NFT.
Come on, guy.
Seth Rogen. Yes, I heard Seth Rogen
No.
can't make his NFT movie anymore.
You're thinking of Seth Green. Is who you're thinking of.
Yeah.
You're thinking of Seth Green.
Is it Seth Green?
Yeah, it's Seth Green.
yeah,
I remember
yeah.
I saw his tweet. Yeah, he got his
Yeah, I
ape
saw that.
stolen, and he was begging for a user like named Shadow Slayer 84 to give it back or something. It was something
Now
like
he can't-
that. It was like
now he can't
Shadow
make his
something
movie.
84. Incredible. Like
That's
really
pretty
good stuff.
I mean, this is the timeline
Like,
we're living in.
Yeah, I love the fact that we're in a timeline
Oh, I
where
found
like
the tweet.
fucking a famous like celebrity can get their fucking bullshit fake monkey stolen, and now they can't make their movie because they don't own it, so they have to go on Twitter and fucking beg for it back.
Who is the
There you go.
who is the politician U.S. politician that got memed on by like a cow account or whatever? Was that Ted Cruz? Like somebody made like a Twitter account of like some like politician's cow spitting like facts or whatever it is, like bad like dissing him or whatever.
Probably
Was that-
Ted because he had that whole fucking butter thing. So
Yeah.
wouldn't be
You
surprised
mean
if
the one
that
where
gets
it-
spurred on.
Ted Cruz got heckled at a restaurant?
I mean
That one
he
I don't know.
gets heckled out of
Listen,
like
Ted
everywhere. I think
Cruz
these
gets
days.
heckled no matter
you go.
where he goes. It's not
I think
really
he would get
narrowing it
heckled-
down very much.
There you go. Here's the tweet.
He'd get heckled out of like a funeral home, honestly, or funeral. But yeah, it's anyways, thank you, Toast, for your 2 weeks. Dark, what about you?
Not a whole lot. I've been playing a lot of Elder Scrolls Online. Still, game fun. I've reached the end game, except I'm not powerful enough, so I need to build up my funny max level points to level up my Skyrim skill trees now to get my champion points in. Then I can do real content.
Nice.
Yeah, game's picking up. It's pretty easy, like in the overworld and like normal dungeons and stuff. Once you start hitting DLC dungeons, they kind of start going like, guess what? Now you actually have to do mechanics, and you're like, oh, shit. Like this is a real MMO, huh? And then you get bopped over your head a few times, and then you learn. So that's been fun, and I'm excited to do the higher tier stuff because apparently that's normally like that. So it's gonna be pretty cool.
Dark, inform me. Which state has the highest community of gay people? Was that California or New York?
I mean, I don't know off the top of my head. The stereotype is San Francisco, so.
Yeah, because you were talking about monkeypox there, and I was like, isn't that translated through butt stuff? Transferred
I mean,
butt
they were
stuff?
saying
I
it was
mean, it
translated
is
through
a-
sex, and then they were
it
saying
is a
it was
fluid-
rampant in the.
Yeah,
gay
it is a fluid virus. Like it's transferred through
the
fluids.
vector
How do
is
you-
fluids, yeah.
So it
Small
is
animals, right? So like, what are you getting
the-
it from? Where did this come from?
monkeys.
Is there a correlation between
Could have been a bite.
gay community and monkey?
Yeah,
I know it
could have
came.
been
I'm pretty
anything.
sure it came from overseas. Like there is
Yeah,
a pickup in it. It's also old
okay.
too. Like it's not a new.
Yeah, it's not like a new thing. It's just that it's
People
surging
used
now.
to be
Resurging,
vaccinated for it back in like I
But,
think
like-
the 70s. They stopped or some shit, and that's one of the reasons why it's
Yeah,
starting to pop up.
the official statement right now is that it is spreading majority through the homosexual community, because again, it is a virus that's transmitted through fluids, right? And
Mm.
anal intercourse, which is predominantly done by the homosexual community, is a prime vector for that type of you know uh transferal,
Transmission.
I guess. Yeah,
Right,
transmission
right,
was the
right.
word I was looking for. But yeah, it's not like something that you have to be super scared of. Like you don't have to fucking wear your mask. It's not like an airborne thing. Um, just
Yeah, well, what if someone
uh,
sneezes in my face, as Americans are prone to
maybe
do?
What if a
don't
monkey
inhale
sneezes in your
someone's
face?
nose. I don't know, but
But yeah, but like, what if at the same time, like,
Your
I'm
nose.
about to like yawn, and then they
yeah,
sneeze right in my mouth?
I don't know. Maybe
What
maybe
if Morbius was a monkey instead of a vampire?
that would probably be a better movie. But
That would be a pretty sick movie.
Planet of the Apes, but like Morbius.
But it's
Yeah, it's
just
like an infection
it's
that
just
turns
one
people into monkeys.
it's just one ape. It's Planet of the Apes, but there's just one ape.
He's getting taken away by like a swarm of apes. Like,
Yeah, he's like American. He's like American werewolf or whatever, but
Uh.
it's you turn into a chimpanzee instead.
Mhm. Anyways, anything else, Dark?
Um, no, not really. Been watching shows.
Is it true that New York has a poo map?
Who? I think that is true.
What
People
does
have
that
made
You
mean?
them
mean you mean
before.
like something like what India is like how
No,
they had
it's
like
like
the poo
yeah. I mean,
advertisements or
no,
what are you
it's
talking
like
about?
yeah. Here's a map of where it's like Waze, but for public shit. I have
What?
heard of that. I don't know if New York has that actually. That was another California thing. I think that was San Francisco as well,
Oh, okay.
if I'm
Eh,
not
What?
mistaken.
they're
What?
basically the same to me.
Yeah, I mean apparently actually yeah, no, it wasn't New York. Maybe New York has it, but I know it was some city in California. Could also not be San Francisco. But
It was
some
San
city in
Francisco.
California has it. Yeah, so public defecation at one point got so bad that someone made an app that was like Waze, but to avoid fucking piles of shit.
It was there to like if you see poop here, report it, and it's
Yeah.
for the sanitation department.
Yeah,
They can.
sanitation department and for people to, not go there. So, California, as someone who's never gone, just consistently reminds me to never find myself there anyway. So, you know. But yeah, other than that, checked out Shachiko-san wa Youjo ni Setai Iyasaretai. So, gonna be talking about that.
Okay.
Other than that, not a whole lot, you know.
Okay, pretty good, pretty good. I guess I'll just go
How
over
about
my.
you, Spire? It seems
Yeah,
you're the only one who hasn't seen Morbius. You should watch
I
That's
Morbius.
have
not true.
not
I
seen
also
Morbius.
haven't seen Morbius. I've just seen
You should
clips.
also watch Morbius.
Yeah,
It
do
looks
yourself a
really
favor
bad, so I'm
and
okay.
don't bother watching Morbius. Honestly, the Morbius memes are infinitely more entertaining than literally anything in that movie. Actually, that's not
See, I
true.
also feel like
There's one scene in the movie where Milo dances
Oh
to
yeah, that
the Have Sex song,
yeah,
and
that was
it
weird.
is absolutely fucking Kino. But that's the only good scene in that movie. So
All right. Well, I haven't done too much. As I've been pretty busy this past week, and I'm glad it's Memorial
How
weekend.
was it in how are your VNs, Spire? You
I'm.
have to regale us with your daily, weekly, bi-weekly
I
VN talk.
I am getting a little bit further on in both Abakano and Nikitashi. Apparently, just recently, I think it was yesterday. I think the uh, so like a couple of Japanese websites published their sort of ranking of like um, which VNs were the most, best VNs this year, whatever it is. And some of them do them like at the very beginning of the year. and one of them, Moe Games Award, released their results literally yesterday for some reason for 2021, and one of them was so a couple of them I know the names of. I have not gone through them yet, but I have them actually like downloaded, and I really do want to go through them. One of them is this one was Taisho, what is it? Gensaku Shoujo no Renai Koshiki, right? Gen, so this one, yeah, this one, yeah, oh yeah, sorry, Sosak Shoujo no Renai Koshiki. I want to. I saw the opening for this one, but I wanted to kind of. I don't know. Like I these days, do you guys have this feeling like recently a lot of these series where the premise is, oh, girls trying to do vocations like voice acting and blah 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 and like writing and drawing and stuff, and then things happen.
Yeah,
It's very
fantasy settings. Yeah, I get
yeah,
it.
like obviously, like
Yeah,
women
duh.
doing jobs,
Yeah,
like
women
yeah,
doing things.
yeah.
Get real, dude.
But a lot of these tend to kind of fall flat because it's like they either just, I mean, I think even just aiming for the trivia thing is like okay, but whenever the story starts shying away from the trivia, right, it kind of just ends up being like, oh, what am I doing? Man, I just suck, but or like I've had so much failures, but I can't let these failures get the best of me. I just gotta do it because I love the things that I do, and it's just like that sort of shtick, like beaten over your head over and over and over again, and it's just very, I don't know, it's a little bit tiresome. So I have this downloaded, but I'm not sure if I actually want to go through it. The other one I actually do want to go through because I want to become the self-proclaimed winter-themed visual novel master is Yukihiro Sign by Wonderful Studios. So this one is a yeah, I mean, I want to it's just like a regular like winter town kind of theme kind of thing, but I want to go through it because I love winter themes. So it is what it is. A couple of other stuff, but I'll
Aspire. Do you
yeah.
do you hate women or something?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
wish
what's your deal,
women would
dude?
never get into work, vocational jobs. That's the message here.
Aspire, Aspire. I think we should introduce you to the strongest woman made anime ever made.
But
High Guardian Spice.
yeah, that's
True,
true.
true, true, true.
But or whatever Velma or whatever the hell is coming out later.
Oh,
Or
Velma.
Oh my god, please no.
Oh right,
Don't
there
need to
there is
talk
a
about
Velma
that.
show. I thought you were talking about
Yeah, dude.
multiverses. Oh no.
oh no! If it makes even toast go, oh no, it's not good.
I mean,
But
I thought you were talking about multiverses. I heard that game was
no,
pretty
no, no,
good,
no,
but
no, no, no,
I
no.
wish that game does
Uh,
look decent.
The game does look quite good, actually.
but yeah, that's my kind of like brief visual novel
wait,
spiel.
adult animated? What? What does that mean? Adult animated? Like
It
It's that
means they're
there's
gonna talk about
blood and
sex, dude.
sex
Blood
and
and gore. Yeah.
gore, dude. There's also
Other
apparently
than
no
that,
Scooby Doo.
what?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Or Mr. Van.
yeah,
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
the
there's
mystery,
no
like the
there's no
gang doesn't
gang.
exist. Like
What is
it's
this supposed to be?
universe.
It's
It's gonna
just
be
Velma and
Riverdale
Daphne,
all over again.
and
I
they're
mean,
probably gonna talk about
no, it's gonna be
sex.
way
Period.
worse than Riverdale. Riverdale at least like tried to do a thing and like what if we had these fucking teenagers with way oversaturated hair that looks really weird. It was kind of cute. Velma is going to be like you can replace the name of the show with like big fucking nerd with glasses, the TV series,
I mean, Riverdale
animated
also had
series.
that's the one with like the fucking satanic cults and shit in it, right? So
Yeah.
like
Riverdale
it's at least
turned
entertaining.
real fucking weird, but it was also like I don't know, you could tell that there was at least some heart behind it.
I can't believe Rick and Morty are gonna be in multiverses. If the leaks are correct.
I can.
I mean, I can. But anyways, that was pretty much. Other than that, I haven't been up to too much. Watching a couple of series, one of which I'll talk about in just a bit. Watch a little bit more of your boy Kongming, Paripi Kome, a little bit more Daemon. Um, Mod. So recently, I just like went and like I've been watching a couple like Korean streamers play like mahjong stuff. You know, like mahjong Soul that like one
Yeah.
like went to mahjong, and stuff like that and do the gacha. And I've been thinking like, should I get into Japanese mahjong? But I don't want to memorize the fucking rules and then also be like, by the way, this is only for Japanese mahjong. I
Just
have to learn like other rules for the actual like mahjong.
Yeah.
I hate
Well,
that
Just
also,
what is
fucking
it?
like
What
this
shit
is for
levels.
Japanese mahjong. Also, it's for like this fucking game's version of mahjong. From what I've
Yeah,
seen, there's
God,
like,
fucking damn it.
Yeah, there's like 800 different
there's
versions of Mahjong.
yeah,
So
Yeah. But it's
dude,
like
just learn
on one
like
hand,
FF14 mahjong, you know?
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that
But
uses the Japanese rules as well.
yeah.
Oh, just the
But I
basic
just
ones. I thought they were like bastardized for the game or something.
No,
Damn.
it's just standard Mahjong.
yeah. I was like, should I learn it? But then I have to learn like two different versions. And it's like, whatever. So I've been a little bit stuck on that.
I mean, to be
But
fair,
then
I'm pretty sure the Japanese rule set is the most common, unless you're like going to like China.
yeah, unless I'm like sitting in like Taiwan or somewhere and just
Yeah,
like literally like yeah.
but yeah, I think in terms of like what you're gonna find for like online stuff,
Like
I'm
mobile
pretty
games
sure
and
that
stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
Well, it's
Japanese
like
rule set
Maj
is the most
Soul.
common.
Is that JP? Is that just like purely
Yeah,
JP?
I'm pretty sure
Um,
that
I
I
Maj
thought
think
that
Soul
one was
is
like a
it's done by
slightly different take.
I think it's done by Yostar, right? Um, but
yeah,
it
it
does
is a Chinese
yeah,
game
it does
developers,
use
but
the Japanese rule set.
yeah, because the idea is like I saw some of the gacha characters for that, and I'm like, this is literally Amae Kodome, Kodomo Amae. Like they're
Yeah.
literally ripping off Saki character like costumes and stuff like that. Like there's no way they're not trying to attract the Japanese
I mean,
audience
that
right
game
now.
had a Saki crossover,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
like
I was like, yeah, this is
Well, I
definitely
mean,
what they're
also
doing.
it's like at this point, realistically, hey, is this a Chinese mobile game? It's trying.
yeah, I mean,
It's
it's trying to
attracting
get the
people who
Japanese
are
audience.
with a Japanese audience, but also like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Chinese weebs.
That's how you get the
Like,
money. You have the Chinese developers make the mobile game with the anime characters, and then you do a Kaguya-sama collaboration, and then boom,
Yeah.
you win, or ReZero collaboration or whatever.
Yeah, although apparently
or
with the
Horizon.
Kaguya-sama crossover in Magic Soul, they did not have Chica. Just like
That's a
Wait, really?
fucking mind
big
blowing.
over.
Yeah.
How the hell do you have that crossover? Like not have all four?
I
Like
I don't know.
at least
I
the
don't know, man.
four main. Like
They had they had obviously Kaguya. They had the
That's
main.
like the fucking Shadowverse
Yeah,
collaboration
that's what I was saying.
having.
It's like having the Shadowverse collab without Gold. Although at least the Shadowverse one, they were like, "Oh, okay, sorry, we'll put her."
Yeah,
We'll put her.
exactly. They were
But
like, "Hey, get every fucking artist right now
yeah,
and end that door."
but yeah, apparently they had like Kaguya-sama, they had the main dude, they had the maid chick, I forget her name, and then
oh,
the white haired girl.
the fuck?
Hana's?
Wait, the
Yeah,
white-haired girl.
yeah, I think so, from what I remember. But yeah, no Chica
Fucking
for some
like
reason.
Hayasaka, right? Yes.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what I was.
Hayasaka is the blonde.
Yeah,
I
isn't
don't
she
remember.
also made or
It's been a
whatever?
while.
Or no?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, that's what you're saying. The
there's the
maid
blonde chick
girl.
too. But yeah, there's the maid chick, and then there's the white haired girl.
Yeah,
But
the only white-haired girl I can think of is the fucking
No, I think she's
Shiragane's
blonde. Like
sister.
no,
Like,
I think she's like bluish silver hair in the anime. I think that's how it is, right? Or something like that.
who?
Isn't that like
let
Hayasaka?
me
her?
see.
Hayasaka's a blonde. Like, just a
Let
straight
me
blonde.
let me look it up.
Yeah,
But yeah, there's no Chica, which was
yeah.
fucking bizarre to me.
Very unfortunate. But yeah, it's yeah. So I've been like, should I learn it? It's like the worst part is though, like all of the like most of the anime series that are based around like stuff like mahjong or whatever, like this or Sakyo son, like they don't even really. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh, right? It's like they don't even follow their own rules. So it's not like even if you learn the rules, you end up being like, oh, they don't use like half of these, so it doesn't even matter now. So it's like, should I even? You know what I mean? It's like it's not even like I can't get spectator enjoyment from them because then I'll be
Yeah.
watching Saki and be like, wow, they didn't follow any of these rules that they said. Yeah. Anyways, that was pretty much my 2 weeks, and we should probably move on. we took a little bit longer because again, we went on the
We had to
Morbius
cover
trade.
Morbius.
Yeah,
Exactly.
hashtag Morbius sweep, dude.
Yeah. Anyways, let's start off with Dark. What do you have for us today?
I have, I'll probably butcher the name, but the fucking English names are all shit. So we're gonna go with the Japanese, and we're gonna go with Shachiku-san wa Youjo Yuurei ni Iyasaretai.
What is? Yeah.
Roughly translates, or well, our fucking English title we could do is just
Hmm.
Miss Shachiku and the Little Baby Ghost. Which
Mhm.
isn't like such a bad one, but also it's like, why would you not just translate it to like, I don't even know, like what would you call it? I mean, I guess like you don't want to have like corporate like slave in your title, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like
you're
you
reading
could.
the synonyms on the My Anime list is like pretty much like the almost transliterated title. But yeah, it's yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
but
Miss
yeah, I
Shachiku
mean,
is a very weird because Shachiku is
it
like it's Japanese.
it basically means like corporate slave, like you
Yeah,
work
yeah,
for a black
and it's
company,
not like
you're
it's
overworked.
not like people that won English title would be like, yeah, I totally know what Shachiku means. Like that's not a
Yeah, it's
thing,
like
right?
you're not gonna know what that means. So I mean,
Yeah.
you could just do like corporate slave, honestly, but
Yeah,
maybe they
yeah,
don't want
yeah.
slave in the title. Who knows?
Yeah. Or drone or something. I don't know. It's
Yeah, you could do like
whatever.
corporate drone or fucking
Yeah.
something like that. Now, like wage
Anyways.
cuck, you know. Um,
White collar
so,
workers, sir. White collar
someone along
workers,
the line
sir.
was that.
It's
No,
wages, dude.
Yeah.
that's true. The wagey.
Who's made
Um,
this? Project number 9? Project number 9, right?
yeah, Project Number 9 made this. You know, famous for fucking. I have no idea. Uh,
They
famous
did
for not great
Netoyome,
series.
Netoge,
Probably
Higeo Soto.
Rokubu, honestly. Most notable one.
I always get surprised that
Got
Rookabue
it.
isn't made by like somebody else. Like I always feel like Rookabue was done by like somebody else, right? But no, it's like Project Number 9. And then they did a couple of other stuff. They did Netoge, I
Yeah,
think they
Project
did
Number 9, more like
Higeo
Project
Soto.
Number 6, because that's all they have on fucking Mall.
They have a lot of like lolly series. They have the Ryu no Oshigoto stuff as well as Rukibyu
Yep.
and so on. Yeah. All right. Anyways,
And now this.
that is.
So yeah, this series is about a corporate slave named Fushihara, and she spends most of her time in front of her computer at her office, and she always winds up getting stuck with overtime after everyone else goes home. So at around, I think it's like 2 a.m. or something like that, a ghost appears in the office, which was like, you know, based on office rumors and whatnot. And so the way it opens is it's just a little ghost trying to get her to go home. And so that's pretty much the
That's
ghost's
nice.
job, is to try to get people to not overwork themselves to death. And the show just kind of goes from there. It just turns into a slice of life, like office overtime shtick stuff. Not a ton of office stuff yet. Like, not just more so of, you know, the usual, I guess you could say like the usual bit of like, yeah, she got, you know, stuck with the typical computer work overtime. To this day,
Yeah.
I still
Is this a
don't
short?
know what any of these people do. No, this is a full, as a matter of
This is a
fact,
full?
which was
This is
surprising.
how many mini arcs or how many mini episodes is this split up into?
Uh, hard to say, kind of random based on the episode.
Okay.
But there's usually a lot of like, it's usually like not so much mini arcs, but a series of scenarios that like the ghost is in or like Sachiko's in. And so like, you know, one episode's like her, like she's sick, and then, you know, they do a little bit in the office of her doing like trying to work while sick, and then going home And then just like mini bits during that of like, the ghost tries to make onigiri
Oh, that's
and,
cute.
get this. The entire premise of the show, the entire point, the entire bit, the sort of like repeating bit is, wow, isn't that cute? You might be surprised to hear that. That's kind of all this show has to offer.
Hmm.
But there's
I
there's
mean,
fun little parts to it with
I mean,
that
do
too.
you find it comfy enough? Is like
Yeah, I
is
mean,
sort of
absolutely. Like that's all the show has to offer, and that's all you need. Anymore
right,
would be
right,
stupid. Like it's like, yeah, it sets out to do one thing, and it sure does that thing.
right. Is how what
Yeah,
do you think about the audio visuals?
just cozy. The visuals, so they're not like blowing me away. But they get the job done, and I think the style they use for the show and a lot of the colors they used, and I guess like you could say even like the texture that they use for the backgrounds and stuff,
Mhm.
kind of fits it really nice. It almost looks like I don't really know how to describe it. It's like a weird watercolor almost for some of it, which
Like,
winds up
are
looking
you talking about
pretty
like
nice.
like Tsukiga Kirei kind of stuff, or like what are you talking about here?
I'm talking like I guess like kind of budget, kind of like almost like yeah. I mean, I guess watercolor is like really the only way to describe it.
It's like a
It
sketchy kind of
yeah, it
with the
fits.
lines and stuff.
Yeah, it very much it
Okay.
fits like tone of the show to be like this almost what you would expect again, like what you would expect would be short but isn't. And also, doesn't have like the sort of lack of I would say frames a short usually comes with time to time.
Mm.
But like I said, the audio visuals like aren't a super 10 out of 10. It's definitely a budget series, but it does, it gets the job done. It's more than fine enough.
Mhm. I mean, it's not like it's an action series I mean, it's like what are they really doing, right? It's like
Yeah, I mean, it's got
I
like
mean, they're
some,
also
it's got
kind
like
of
some
going
cuts
yeah,
where they like go decently all out.
right,
For like her working real hard,
right.
stuff like that is like a little bit, but overall, yeah, like it doesn't need to have that. It's got enough to deal with and like style wise to have like, the cute scenes with the ghosts really like kind of shine.
So why are the
Mhm.
ghosts tiny? Does it acknowledge that?
Because
What's the
they're
lore? What's the lore
tiny.
behind
They're
that?
tiny ghosts. Okay,
Because you
so
need
far the
Are they dead?
lore
Are
Ollie
they dead
Ghost
children? What's
to
going on? What's going on?
they may just be because there's a
you just
flashback with Yuurei-chan.
Where she
Well,
gets
actually,
brutally
no.
murdered?
Okay,
Damn, that's fucked up.
so one of them is like a cat. I'm not sure what the other ones are yet because they haven't been introduced. I've only watched up to episode 4. Um, but then there's like Miyako, which is like a cat ghost. And then there's Yuurei-chan, who is the main ghost, and she might be a dead kid. Um, there's a flashback with her in like the or like feudal Japan era or whatever, with like the fucking full like wood and paper city and whatnot,
Uh huh.
and she's like with Fushihara. I don't know if it's supposed to be like her ancestor or something, but there's like a little flashback that implied like her mom worked herself to death or something. Um, and so she like was kind of doing the same thing for her mom, where she would like make her food or help her out and stuff like that. But then it doubles back to the whole like you being there and being cute is enough sort of bit. Um,
so
so
how
yeah,
much
like
does it focus
that's the
on
thing I
that
got.
sort of
Then that's sort of like the
how
lore.
much does it focus on that sort of like background versus like the regular like day to day
Oh, the
she be
background. The background happened like one time. so far,
okay,
like in
okay.
4
So it's
episodes. Like
like it's
Yeah,
like
I
barely
don't.
just like
it's just like a
there's like a
little
reason
like
why. Yeah,
I
there's a
yeah, I
reason
can't
why the ghost is
imagine
there.
this
That's it.
series
Yeah.
has much like character backstory or development.
yeah, there's like
It's
some
very
like
it very much looks
tiny
like it's just
moments of
a
like introspection
yeah,
Mhm.
but
whatnot,
like the
but
main focus very much seems like yeah, here's this ghost that's shaped like a fucking dumpling doing cute shit, right? Like
yeah, that is yeah, that's the primary focus. Which again, if it were it anything else, it would be a failure in my eyes. So
Mhm.
I think I like I said, I think it gets the job done in the sense of like, you know, those mini bits of introspection and stuff are nice. And the little like, I mean, there's also like more somber moments and whatnot of them like visiting like an elderly couple who owns a shop, and then like a small moment between like this elderly guy and his wife. Like there is a comedy bit in it and stuff too, but it is like a more somber moment as well.
Mhm.
So there's some of that to break it up too. But overall, like
Yeah.
even that is like super cozy type stuff. So
Yeah. I mean,
it's just been nice.
I think that like one kind of like exposition is more just like, oh, there's like an actual reason why like some of this stuff is happening rather than like a no, we're gonna take the serious mode now. So I guess that's like a good
Yeah, we're
just
not gonna
give it like
get
that 1 second of like, hey, by the way, kind of thing. And it's like
yeah, we're not gonna get like a I don't think we're gonna get a dark like traumatic past scene with the ghost needing to overcome that.
Mhm.
I don't think we're gonna get that. I don't think we're gonna get a I don't think we're gonna get a ghost tournament arc anytime soon. You know, so
Yeah.
I think it's gonna run its
that's fucking
gambit like
bullshit.
all the way through. Yeah, I want it to be like fucking what's it called? Bimbogami, where at the end I wanted to transition
Oh,
into a fucking tournament arc for what would have been a follow-up season. That's definitely what I want.
yeah.
So yeah.
Anyways, anything else? Any last words?
I don't think so. You know, it's like it's just it's good. um,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
yeah,
there's too much to say about this. Or it's pretty like it does the job that it was made for, kind of thing.
yeah. Like the ghost is like Yuurei-chan is voiced by Hidakarina, so like
Mhm.
you already know
Oh, really?
like how that's gonna go. Like yeah, I mean
Nice.
she's done that type of stuff
Yeah,
before,
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, and it's very much like a very a very cozy watch, very like safe, I guess you could
Both of
say.
them, like this list is of people is like this is a really strong like voice actress list actually. Like Hidakarina doing the lolly, and then the sort of corporate drone Fushihara-san is Kanemoto Hisaku, who also tends to do like lolly role ish roles or like elementary school girl kind of middle school elementary school girl kind of roles. And then the other ones
Or
is like what?
or more, like I guess you could would it be tomboyish type stuff too from time to time?
Yeah, she can
Or like
sometimes do
the
that.
more boy like I mean there was like the more boyish like sister in
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Horimiya and
She
stuff
did
like
like the
that.
ghetto stuff in Corezone. Kore wa zombie desu ka. So she can do a little bit of that, and she's pretty flexible in her roles now that I think about it. She did Kiriyama Yui in Kokoro Connect as well. Yeah, she's pretty flexible.
Yeah.
But I think like she's mostly known for um like when sound producers and like people like when she tries to do auditions, like a lot of her stuff is like Ika Musume type kind of like, you know what I mean? It's like those types. But then you have like Koharu Konomi bringing up the back, Ishihara Kaori, Asumi Kana, Kaya no Ai, stuff like that. So a lot of these Inoue Marina, a lot of these big hitters coming in. So
Yeah, yeah, which also
surprisingly a
again
lot of
like
money.
Kaya no Ai playing fucking Yurei-chan's mother, which again has like 3 lines in one scene so far, so I don't think we're gonna get a whole lot more of that.
Yeah.
Which yeah, again is just like funny to see shit like that happen. Also, Cheetah Maya theme performance, so it's Fun OP and ED.
All right, good
But yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I'll give Mal a pretty good one here. A reviewer on Mal saying like a quote unquote like spiritual successor to Senko-san. So yeah, like if you enjoyed a series like that, you will enjoy this.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dark, for helping to cover again. Shachiku-san wa Youjo Yuurei ni Iyasaretai, or Miss Corporate Girl Wants to Be Healed by a Lawless Spirit, or Miss Shachiku and the Little Baby Ghost, either title here. This is done by Project Number 9. I believe this is an anime original. This is a full series, right? Or this is a manga original, right? Yeah, this is a manga
Let me
original.
see. I think it's manga. Yeah.
Yeah, manga original. This is a full series. This is not a short. This is an actual full series with a couple mini episodes sprinkled throughout. If you want to watch like one of the a comfy series this season, please do check this one out. Good, good cast, good, decent audio visuals. So yeah, check this out. Next on the list here, Toast. What do you have for us today? Toast is dead. He's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my turn. All right.
Yes,
It is
sir.
your turn.
I was watching Germa. What do you want?
What are you covering for us today,
Oh,
sir?
what's my segue? Uh,
Do you want me
Yeah?
to?
no,
Yes.
no.
Why don't
I'm
you just go?
I'm trying to think of my segue.
Okay.
I mean, there was definitely a good one to make between
Yeah.
the undead, but
What?
kind
What?
of missed that one, man.
Oh, so when it's May, right?
Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
May,
It
right?
apparently is.
You,
Yeah.
you guys ready for the return of the king in 2 months?
What do you mean?
Overlord season 4 is in July. You guys ready for
Oh
that?
God, Overlord
God.
season. Oh God, another Overlord season. Not like this. Not another anime season of Overlord.
I'm not ready.
What's
but
what's the guy in Overlord name again?
I
Nice.
oh
will go.
fuck.
You remember when he was fighting? What's the vampire chick's name again?
Morbius?
Yeah, you know where when he was shooting.
It's
Remember when
vampire chick, so more Morbiet.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
remember when he was fighting Morbius and then he was casting all those buffs? That was cool, right?
I
Yeah.
guess.
I
Oh,
don't
you
know.
know,
He
I don't
also
know.
Shoutier,
killed
right?
that girl, and
Shoutier
everyone
is
was
what
like,
you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah,
"This
yeah.
guy's a
Sure.
skeleton. That's fucked up."
And then remember when he switched from his mage gear to what that guy? Touch Me, right? That's the guy.
Yeah,
Touch
yeah,
Me's
yeah.
armor.
Touch Me Sama or whatever it is. Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going with this, so I'll just say it. What
Yes.
did I watch? What did I watch? I watched
Watched.
Skeleton Knight in Another World. I don't know the
What's
Japanese
that
title.
show about?
It's Skeleton Knight in Another World. Gaikotsu Kishi-sama. Tadaima Isekai Odekakechuu. So yeah, that's
Oh
this is
yeah,
the light novel. I'm guessing, right?
now I remember. My segue was what if Ainz Olgone was a skeleton, but he was
He
wearing
is.
Touch Me's armor. Like that one time he fought Shoutouts.
Yeah,
I guess
exactly,
that's what
there.
the theory is, because they're both skeletons. But this guy's a skeleton holy knight, just like Touch Me. And that one time, Ainz wore Touch Me's armor, so I guess that's my segue.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah,
So
this is Shosetsu series, right? This is
of course it is.
originally
It's
Shosetsu light
it's
novel.
a light
Yeah,
novel.
yeah.
So so the series starts with Ark. He just wakes up in a field and he's like, "Huh, I woke up in a field, and this weapon and armor I'm wearing feels strangely light. Wait a minute, this is my character from the online game Ark that I fell asleep in, and now
Mhm.
I woke up and I'm in the game maybe as my character." Then he's like, "Oh well, that's cool. I'm gonna check out what I'm gonna do whatever I want," and that's his motivation.
So is most of him like just traveling and mainly like peaceful stuff, or like how much action is there? How much action scenes are there, or like what's the balance in this series?
So then Art goes around. He does some nightly stuff because he's like, "Oh, my my class is Holy Knight, so I guess I'm a heroic type of guy," and everyone's like, "Okay,
Mhm.
I guess." But the kicker is that he's he, the the character background that he made for himself in the game was that he's a holy knight that got cursed to be a skeleton, and now he's traveling the world to find a way to get rid of his curse. But in reality, it was just like, oh, I picked the skeleton avatar when I started the game, so I'm a skeleton underneath this armor. But his role play. I guess he's using his role play background as his real background, so he can get past other stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
That
So
explains why
this
he's a
is
skeleton.
okay.
Oh yeah, in the first episode we get treated with the Goblin Slayer
Wait,
intro.
is
That was
this
fun.
just
Uh,
wondering this world that he's transported in? Like he knows this world because it's exactly the same as the game he plays.
Maybe it's hand
Does he
wave.
know? Like, does he say like, "Oh, I know stuff," or is he just like, "Oh, I'm just like in this world"?
It has similar. It's not exactly explicitly said it's the same world as the game. More
Mhm.
like, oh, here's a monster that I fought in the game, and it's similar. It has similar stats and stuff.
Oh,
So I
okay.
guess
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, I
it's
understand.
kind of hand woven off
Oh,
because
so
it's
it
not
does
really fully
like
explained.
the video game like stats thing as well.
Only for
Mhm.
him.
Yeah. I
It
figured.
only applies to him, and so far, not for the world itself. So it's
Okay,
just hand
so like
woven.
he's like the only one that can see like the
Yeah,
stats. It's not like
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So he's like, oh, I'm in this world. I'm gonna do stuff, and then he finds there's some changes in the I guess the manga slash light novel to what happens in the anime because
Mhm.
in the manga slash light novel he's supposed to meet a male elf first when he's trying to take his mercenary test, like a male elf is fighting off bandits slash slave traders, and he meets him. But in the anime, he meets the female lead first instead of the male elf. So I was like, oh, I see why they're doing this. You gotta throw her in to spice up the series a bit more. I'm like, okay.
Quote unquote spice. Yeah.
Also, the way he met his animal familiar Ponta was different,
Mhm.
and they changed that up too. It's like,
I guess is it just mainly due to like truncation purposes,
I
or do you think for
guess.
the anime? I guess, yeah.
I guess it's like, oh, he was supposed to. But it's like you're supposed to meet Ponta because he was captured by the slave traders as well. But no, he meets him in a forest while picking
Mhm.
herbs. You know who else met an animal in the forest and it's familiar?
Einzel go
Hell
go
yeah,
Reddit
with
with the hamster. Yeah,
yeah.
hamske.
So I was like, oh, I see what they're doing. Maybe not really. Yeah. So he meets the elf. They save some elves, and then what's her name? Ariane. Yeah, Ariane. She's all like, "Oh, you're pretty
Ariana
strong.
Grande.
You're a mercenary for hire, right?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, I'm going to officially, I'm going to let's go to the elf village and officially, recruit you to save some elves." And he's like, "Okay." And I guess that's the main story of the series so far. He's going to save elves because,
Mhm.
humans are bad. They're slave trading elves. And that's the
The
majority.
classic.
the majority of of all 8 episodes. They
Does
also
this have the whole like light elf, dark elf like meme like oh different races kind of thing or no?
no, because Ariane, is that her name? I think it's Ariane. She's a dark elf, but they save regular elves. So I'm like, I guess
Okay.
there's no differentiation between them. They're just elves.
Okay.
Okay.
So I guess audio visuals. How are the audio visuals?
Okay,
for-
I got it. I mean, the audio's fine.
Okay.
It's, what's his name? Who's the voice actors in this? I
A lot of
know.
them.
I've
It,
heard it thrown around that I
thrown
mean I
around
get
that.
it, but I'm gonna heard it thrown around that you know how Veldora loves his manga and his loves reading manga. It's just
Yeah.
like if Veldora was writing his own manga. That's what Arc is like because they share the same voice actor apparently.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Pretty much like I guess the main guy is voiced by every Chunibyo's wet dream, right?
Oh,
Mayano Tomaki, who is you know who also voices Pain in Naruto, right? And what is it?
really?
Yes, Arc. That's the voice of Arc.
Is
Ariane.
Was Pain the one with the orange hair, the guy really
Yep.
with the really
Yeah,
weird
with the
animation?
piercings.
Hell
Yeah. And
My pain is
Ariane
greater than
is
yours.
Ariane is voiced by none other than our favorite in this podcast here, Fido's
Yeah, I was
Eye.
gonna say
Here,
that.
good stuff.
And I'm 90%, 95% sure that Ariane's mother, voiced by Kiku Inoue, because they met Ariane's mother and she's like, oh, I'm an elf. I'm permanently 170 years old, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know that joke and that voice. I guess they stole Kiku Inoue for that role. How old is she anyway? She's old. She's been doing this for a long time.
I can't find her. I feel like you might be right though, but yeah.
If you hear her voice, it's specifically
Yeah.
her
No,
type of
I'll
voice, and I'm
try. No,
like,
I trust you.
wait a
It's
fucking
just
minute.
that I want to. I want to. Yeah. But okay, so pretty good. Again, visuals, right? Did you?
Here you go.
visu-
Here's a clip. You tell me if this is not Kiku Inoue. Here you go. But yeah, visuals, they're fine. This is produced by what? Studio Kai / Hornets? I don't know who these guys are. Oh,
Mhm.
Studio Kai did Uma Musume and Kagast. Oh, Kagaster. PSO2 the animation? What? What is this list?
No, by the way, that's not Kiko Inoue's voice. I think that's
What?
different. Yeah, it is Minaguchi Yuko,
Who?
who let's see this. She is the voice of Vidal in Dragon Ball.
Oh, okay. Whatever.
But yeah. Anyways,
My bad.
no, it's fine. I think so pretty good. Is there so would you say
Hold on. Was Kagaster the one that was in CG? Mushikaga no Kagaster? I think it was, right? I
not
think it was.
sure.
Yes, there's CG in Mushikaga no Kagaster. Okay, that explains some things.
But
Because I'd like to point before I go on. What do you want? What were you
oh
saying?
no, I was just trying to get ask whether this was is this mainly like it's from what I'm hearing it's mainly just episodic, right? It's not like there's no like real like they're not setting up for like big like arcs or like some sort of like we're going to meet the king or something like that, right? It's just like it's pretty
It's
episodic, right?
there's like I said, all 8 episodes so far has been we're going to save elves, so they're traveling the world, traveling the land to save elves right now.
I mean, is that the only is that the
Right,
only
well,
thing?
right now, yeah.
Okay.
It's like
I mean,
okay,
that's still fairly episodic. If they're not really like they're not really like fighting any overarching threat. They're just like
I
Not
guess
yet.
it's kind of like Orient, right? What I talked about Orient, where it's like they're like out to defeat the demons, but it's not really like it still ends up being kind of like episodic or like mini arc ish, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
okay. Anyway, I was gonna say because this series uses quite a bit of CG,
Okay.
but they do it cleverly in a way that like makes the CG look kind of good. What I should say, kind of the best use of CG I've seen in a while. Where
Okay. What do
there,
you mean by that?
there's like every so often there's a few seconds worth of CG that they use, and it's interspersed between like a couple of scenes here and there. But the character models look decent enough so that if you're not paying too much attention, you won't notice that it's CG. And I'm
Mhm.
like, it's weird. It's kind of, it's not exactly super off-putting, but kind of get it in a way. It's kind of hard to explain.
Okay.
I mean, I guess it's really well done CG. There's this one point where first time Arc fights Ariane. I didn't know it. I watched it a couple of times because I thought something was off with that fight. Then I noticed for a couple seconds they used CG and it looked really good and it flowed really well into the fight. And I was like, huh, that's neat.
I wonder if that costs a lot of money. Ooh, it's
I'm
project number
pretty
10,
sure I've
though, right?
seen that scene you're talking about, and it's like it's not bad, but it's definitely noticeable.
It's noticeable, but it's not like not
It is
really
still
bad.
it's still somewhat jarring.
Oh, okay.
I mean, obviously the transition from 2D to CG is always going to be a little bit jarring, um, especially when you do it somewhat rapidly, like that scene does. But it doesn't look bad. Um, but yeah, like
It's there,
it's
but it's
still
like
it's definitely noticeable. Um,
I mean it's most noticeable when they move because
yeah, obviously.
CG looks really stiff. But compared to other uses of CG, it's fine. I mean, they still use it for weird stuff like horses. Like here's
Yeah.
horses in motion. Here's CG, and I'm like, oh.
Well, I mean,
I-
that's pretty standard, yeah.
But I mean, when Ark's in CG and Ariana's in CG, it's looks decent enough.
Hmm.
I mean, I'll give it a passing
is
grade,
there
I
are there
guess.
any scenes where it's like one person's in CG and the other
Oh
one's in
yeah,
like some
it's
like
like
berserk shit or like like that sort of like
well,
you know
they're
what I
not
mean?
moving, so it's like
Like
if you gotta look really close, he's like, wait a minute, something's off, and it's like, oh, okay, because they're talking to like what the animal eared ninja girl. Our Ark's in CG, and he's just standing there, and Ariane may be in CG, but they're like they're kind of a step back in the background, so it's not too noticeable. Unlike
Okay.
what Goblin Slayer CG, oh, you can tell when Goblin Slayer CG.
Yeah. The,
And
the thing is,
and
it's like all of these are kind of like, again, I don't even want to say like a necessary evil, so to say, but it's like growing pains, I guess. It's like what they're going through.
and when Overlord's 3D, oh man, that's
Yeah,
horrendous.
well,
Yeah,
that shit's like
Overlord is just like Overlord's
it's just
anime.
garbage. Like it's
Like
not
the thing is, like
fucking.
I am a big fan of Overlord, like the light novel and stuff like that. But the anime legitimately just soured my taste on it, just because it was just like, oh my god, like I can't like stop but think about how the anime would have panned this out while I'm reading the light novel. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
just
I mean, I just had to point that out because there was the CG, and I
Mhm.
want to say, like, who do I blame for this CG? Is it Crunchyroll? Because there's a lot of producers for this series.
Who's doing 3D CG? Isn't there like a separate
There's
studio
a
doing
bunch of
3D CG production?
I don't
Or
know.
what's going on there?
But there's a bunch of 3D CG in Crunchyroll. What's that one
Uh,
Crunchyroll series? Hell yeah. I don't know. I just pointed that out because there's a lot of studios that were not studios, producers that were using this. I'm looking at the mall site. Pony Canyon, ATX, Dax Production, Docomo, Overlap, Crunchyroll, Muse Communication, Magnet. These guys.
So I have to assume that
I mean,
the
go
CG
to
studio is Studio Kai.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Studio Kai probably because because the two people kind of mainly looking over it right now are Hornets and Studio Kai, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
So yeah,
Studio
Studio
Kai has
Kai looks
done
like the 3D CG
PSO2,
people. Yeah,
Omomusume,
exactly.
Super Cub. Yeah, they're doing the
Yeah,
CG
yeah,
for
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So
But I guess it's their best use of CG. I mean, what was this? I remember this. What Chicago no Kagase? That's mostly CG, and PSO2, the Darkers, those are CG.
yeah,
But
that's
Darkers
probably
are
it.
like,
I think
yes.
honestly, they're like
Musume
Studio
was also
Kai right
CG.
now is not in a good spot just because of recent, hits and also because of COVID and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
probably they're not doing their stuff properly because of the money
I
issues.
don't know, man. The big Studio Kai series is coming up soon. Are they gonna be okay?
I'm
I hope
If
they'll
I
be
sure.
was a
okay.
betting man,
I'm
I'm not
sure
sure if
they'll
I
be
would bet
fine.
on
I
that.
doubt.
Yeah,
I doubt
it depends on
fucking.
the money.
I do Futo Tante is gonna get fucking canceled or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'd be riots. But yeah, that's for the CG.
Mm.
Characters, people. I've seen some reviews like, oh, Arc is so one dimensional, and you know, he just does what he wants, and I'm like, you know what, man? How many series have where there's been like, oh, this is a deeply intelligent and motivated isekai character, and that series turned out to be complete garbage.
I
Answers a
mean,
lot.
the thing is, what people always it's like the whole like I mean, I'm agreeing with you by the way here, Toast, but it's like this is what I almost want to call I mean, it didn't start with the series, but it's the Oregairu paradox, right? It's like one of my usual like
Oh,
random like
Hachiman.
phrases. It's like the inverse visual novel safe slot theory, right? It's like a theory or postulate. It's like the Oregairu paradox. It's like people are always like, wow, this guy acts so smart. He's so cool and edgy. And then like just because a character's premise is being smart or like being not like the other people doesn't mean that the anime turns out to be the same thing, be, all cool and edgy or like out of the ordinary or even smart or like intelligent in any sort of sense. You know what I mean? So it's the writing. It's not the character premise. It's the
But yeah,
writing.
you know what? I'm gonna say the naysayers. I've
Mhm.
handled enough isekai to the point where you're one intelligent character. I don't care anymore. I like Arc because he's like,
Yeah, I mean, there are also a variety of ways of watching isekai. That's not just like I don't want to. It's like the people that like always complain about like or like refer to Infinite Stratos or some like why are these beta males in my harem series? It's like it's like at the point where you're watching a harem series. You know what I mean? It's like what are you really kind of like watching it for? Are you really trying to get value from the main protagonist? It's like is that what you're really trying to do? It's that sort of thing, right? So it's the
but
same thing with
yeah,
Isekai, in my opinion.
Arc's character is like, he's pretty happy-go-lucky. He's like, oh, there's someone in trouble. I'm gonna help them. Then after that, he's like, I've killed the bandits. All right, time to loot them of their gear. And I'm like, hell yeah, that's what you do.
Nice, nice.
And he goes with the flow. He's like, oh, here, what is it? Here's a basilisk. All right, I'm gonna fight it.
Mm.
And I guess he's the typical overpowered guy because his class is Holy Knight. What is it? A high tier class, and he's you have to master multiple classes before you get to that class. And in the game, it's like, oh, you can only use Holy Knight skills, but in here, and this Isekai is like, oh, I can use all the skills that I learned on the way to become a Holy Knight. And I'm like, I guess that's your character setting now. That's fine. But yeah, if you've read Overlord, he's people say that he's basically Touch Me, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much a very valid like generalization of his character, because Touch Me is he, he's the guy who was the previous leader of Einzelgone. He was a nice guy, helped people in need, but he was willing to listen and
Mhm.
debate with people with a different mindset, because all the people in Einzelgone, they're weirdos, and they're not exactly lawful good, but
Mhm.
he'll help them out if he'll help them out because they're his friends and whatnot. So Ark's that kind of guy. He typical good guy. It's fine. Kind
Okay.
of stupid, but whatever. Let him have fun. I've
Okay.
Yeah, he like I said, the moment he got Isekai, he's like, woohoo! I'm gonna do whatever I want. I need to make money and live a leisurely life, and I'm like, fine, you can have that. I've had enough. I've had enough series where like, oh, I'm stranded in the Isekai. What if I need to find a way back to Japan?
Oh yeah, and they
And
always go like immediately trying to hunt for um like like a method out or whatever it is. Yeah.
there was at one point where oh, I still haven't mentioned it, but episode one, it immediately starts off with a bandits killing and almost raping this chick, and I'm like, oh, cool. And it's like you
Very.
see,
I don't know if that's the reaction you should have, but
Yeah, it's sick, dude.
because it's there's a trigger warning right at the beginning. It's like, what, careful watching this anime. There might be scenes of
be,
violence and
be
stuff,
careful watching this anime.
but
This
it's
anime
like
is crazy.
but this trigger warning is right at the same time, like, bandits ripping clothes off girls and watching them pee themselves starts, and I'm like, whoa, okay, kind of late, I guess. But I mean, this anime just started. But yeah, you know, Arc comes to save him and whatnot. But later on in the episode, when he's watching the bandits do the deeds, he's like, "Oh, I'm about to kill humans." Like, well, whatever. I gotta save these
Well,
girls.
it's
And then
fine.
he
Yeah.
then he's like, now I'm okay with killing people, I guess. And I'm like,
Shoten,
good enough for me.
Yeah. Okay. What score would you give this?
But yeah, this series,
Mhm.
the best isekai of this season. 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Good stuff.
I like Ark and his silly overpowered shenanigans. You know, his he can fly, but his method of flying is just short range teleportation, so it looks kind of goofy.
Mhm.
And he just teleports everywhere,
What
and he's like, "Oh,
he just rapidly teleports?
yeah."
Like,
And I'm like,
Rocks.
I mean, to be fair, that's like a reasonable thing to do if like you have
yeah.
yeah. It's not like you know what I mean, but yeah.
it's like I
Okay.
can't fly,
I
but
mean,
here I can short range
that's a
teleport a
very
few
like
meters.
video game thing to have, which
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think is
like,
pretty charming.
and he constantly spams it in this series. He's like, "Oh, here's a locked door. Let me peer through the keyhole. Bam! Instant short teleportation. Now I'm inside." And I'm like, and there was this
He's
one
a
scene
gamer.
where
He's
there's
a
this one
gamer.
scene where he's trying to sneak through what, a mansion and save some elves, covertly, but he's this big thing and his armor is kind of clunky. So he's like, "Oh, let me just short range teleport. Now they can't hear my footsteps." And I'm like, "God damn it, I get it." But yeah, Arc. Don't listen to the hate naysayers. Arc's a great character, happy-go-lucky kind of guy. I'm rooting for him. Ariane, whatever. Spiral's Eye, you can hear her voice. She's typical stoic, but then warms up to the main protagonist. Then who else was there? Who else was in this series? Chiyome the ninja. I don't know. I don't know who Tomita Miyu is. Spire, who's this character?
Which character are you talking about here?
Who's Miyu Tomita? I don't
Tomita,
think she has any
she did
main
Gabriel and
roles.
Gabriel Dropout, my guy.
Oh no, don't you mean Crimvale and Ishizoku reviewers?
Yeah, that too.
Shut up, dude.
I forget if Tomita Mew was the one that like she went, because I believe Ishizoku reviewers had like a live event, like a live stream or like a radio show or something like that,
What?
and she explicitly
Yeah,
was like,
it
I
had a
forget it.
radio thing, like a
Yeah, and I forget if it was her or somebody else who was explicitly like, "Yeah, I wanted to be in this show." Like one of the female like voice actresses was like, "Yeah, I explicitly auditioned because I wanted to be in the show."
I mean, what she you know, Grimvale is what the big dick angel. So I mean, if you want to roll, hell yeah, get that big dick, I guess.
Oh, I forgot she also did Rico and Made in Abyss. But anyways,
Yeah, whatever. Series good. I like this series.
okay.
It's a good
Uh,
series to turn my brain off against because
mhm.
it's like whatever. People are saying
Okay.
it. Oh, it's surprisingly dark when it's lighthearted, and I'm like, okay, there's that one rape scene, sure, and then there's elves about to be raped, and I'm like, okay, and then there's another thing where what? Let's murder this royal chick and I guess rape her too, and I'm like, oh, it's always the bandit stuff,
starting to
really.
see a theme here.
The thing is, how do I say this without sounding overly like facetious? But I feel like, especially like with these isekai writers, especially with like the shosetsu, um, quality, and I use the term quality extremely loosely here. Especially with these sorts of like shosetsu writers, there's a difference between. I know that the anime watching demographic is young, right? And so whenever they see like blood or like they see anything even slightly erotic, they're like, "Wow, this stuff is so dark and like adult or whatever." But I also think there's something to be said about the way that writers use certain adult themes um to create a more serious brooding atmosphere, or something that could be discussed or whatever. And certainly, forced uh sexual contact, abuse, stuff like that, rape, are very weighty tools that can be used in stories that can turn the story dark. However, that being said, I think a lot of these isekai writers, and I 100% mean offense on this, but they kind of just use rape as like a, oh wow, you gotta save the princess. Also, we're
Well,
gonna
I
get
mean,
raped, guys. It's
they
like
use it
it's
like that. I would
very.
describe it like they use they they seem to be very quick at using rape the way like JoJo uses dogs. They're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Or
how
like
do we
a
show
cat
How do
these
we
is.
how
people
do
are
we show that
evil?
this is
Make them
evil?
kill a
Kill a dog.
dog. Kill a
Yeah, exactly,
fucking
exactly.
dog, dude.
It's a
So now they're
very
like,
it's a
how are these
very
people
shallow
evil?
way
They
to
rape.
use a
It's
very
like,
yeah.
well,
I mean,
It's like taking a hammer and just like swinging around the house for renovations. It
I
is
mean,
very.
it's all right. Bandits, all right. They kill and rape women, all right. Slave traders, they kill and rape elves, okay. Assassins, I guess they're trying to kill this royalty and maybe rape her, sure.
Yeah.
But it's like I guess that's how they
a
justify.
lot. Like,
Objectives.
that,
Objective: kill and or rape.
the,
yeah,
the thing
like,
is the thing is like all of these are the thing is like that premise
what
is
happened to
reasonable.
professionalism? You know?
The thing yeah
Bandits
the
aren't
thing is it's like
professional.
Yeah, but what
what I'm
about
saying is
assassins?
yeah, what
I
I'm
don't
saying
know.
is the point I'm look guys, okay. The point I'm trying to make is that premise, like the whole like bandits and like the slave traders like trying to kill or rape people or whatever, is completely reasonable, and those actions happening in story is completely reasonable. What I'm saying is that the clear way that it's pushed inside the story, as well as I want to say the young demographic reacting to that sort of thing in a way that makes the story seem like it's more weighty and complex than it is is
Yeah,
very
fine.
disappointing to me in a sense, especially with a thing that is not light. Again, like rape.
I mean, it's pretty. I'm pretty sure it's there just to be like, oh, these people are evil, and
Yeah,
it's like
exactly,
it's to
exactly,
it's
exactly.
justify why Ark kills these bandits and like
Yeah, yeah.
steals their loot, and I'm like, that's fine, I guess, but yeah, it
Yeah,
is
and
overused.
then like
Yeah,
and then afterwards the viewers are like, oh, that's so dark. Oh my
Well,
god.
yeah, I
It's
mean,
like
it's the same way as like the shit we always joke about with like, oh, Tokyo Ghoul's an adult
yeah,
series. It's like,
exactly.
why? Because there's cannibalism.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
whatever. Like, who cares? They're fucking ghouls, dude. Like,
Yeah,
it
Yeah,
does not mean it's an adult, thing,
yeah,
or
it doesn't really
handled in a way that makes it like an adult series.
yeah, exactly.
it doesn't really take away from the series because what the main thing is we gotta save our elves, and we gotta save elf slaves, sure, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, that's fine. It's not. Don't really take it more serious than it actually is. This is a pretty lighthearted series, right? Currently, and it's like, I mean, the currently there's another arc where like, oh, you meet up with the ninja again. And she's like, I know you're what is it? You got a contract with the elves to help us save our beastmen too, beastmen slaves. And I'm like, oh, here we go, save all the slaves, and it's fine. I'm not turned off by it, so don't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, whatever. When are we getting a series where the main protagonist doesn't save the slaves, and in fact owns slaves
Isn't that like the other
That's like
explicitly?
that's the
of like
other 50% of Isekai.
yeah, exactly.
Or
It's like
is a slave trader, rather, I should say.
Oh,
I think
When are we
that's the
slave
getting?
trader.
remaining 30% of
I
isekai.
know about the slave
Yeah.
trader isekai. You want in on those?
I
Oh,
don't,
Jesus.
but I'm waiting for those to air for
Well, I
people to
mean,
be
you're
like,
just gonna have to wait
whoa.
for
I
you're
mean,
just gonna
it's
have to
just
wait
gonna be
for
another fucking redo of Healer. Like,
no because slave harem in another world labyrinth or whatever the name was, that's gonna come out soon, right? So you're gonna have enough of that. And I love how they take out I forget if they took out like the slave part of it or I think they took out the slave part of it, right? And they just said like harem in another labyrinth or whatever it was.
Yes.
For the English name, right? Because
Yeah,
obviously,
they removed
yeah,
slave from the title.
yeah, exactly. So it was, it is how it is.
Just wait for this
Anyways,
series where it's like, oh, what was that series? It's more like, oh, I my class is hero and demon lord, but I chose a subclass slave trader instead. I'm like,
yeah. Or like those like there's more than one like shosetsu novel where the premise is like I chose like monster tamer or something like that, and then like instead of taming like the monsters, he starts taming like the girls in the
women?
class
Oh
or
yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
class or whatever shit like that.
Absolute
And
domination or
it's
whatever.
yeah, it's all sorts of bullshit. But
Yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
thank you.
It's a good series. Check it out. It's still probably the best. Uh, what turn
Yeah,
your
I
brain
actually want to
off
check it out too.
isekai this
Like no,
season.
like yeah, especially after you reviewed. I actually do want to check it out for myself to be sure. So yeah, thank you very much, Toast, for helping to review Skeleton Knight in Another World. Again,
What if he was slave knight in another world?
his slave
Slave? Fucking,
skeleton slave trader in
what,
another
like
world.
yeah,
Yeah.
fucking
Slave
Slave
Night Gale?
Yeah.
It's just-
But yeah, Gaikotsu Kishi-sama, Tadaima Isekai o Odekakechuu. This is Shosetsu web novel original turned into light novel and now anime, and it is done by War of the Two. It was Hornets
Hornets,
and
right?
Studio Kai. Yes, Studio
Yeah.
Kai mainly bringing up 3D CG.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention one big thing.
Hmm?
It's like the opening is sung by Pele K, who, if you don't know who that is, he's a guy who's basically he's a white he's a white Westerner guy. He's a Kai Guy Nikki who's basically been doing singing anime covers for the past, I want to say, decade or so. Because
Yeah.
I listened to that guy when he did his Brave Shine cover. And what? Fate's Unlimited Blade Works came out in 2011, so he's been doing this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is his first big break. He's the actual singer of the opening.
That's pretty good.
Tell
That's
like,
pretty.
hey, he's pretty good. Yeah. So
Yeah.
shout out to that guy.
Congrats to him. Yeah. All right. Pretty good. Pretty good.
He's yeah. Hard work does pay off. I mean, and my big question is, who the heck up there let hit like said, hey, this guy's pretty good. Let's get him into it. And I
Probably,
want to say
again,
it's
it's
Crunchyroll.
well, I don't know if it's
Because
Crunchyroll.
Crunchyroll has had his
Crunchyroll's
hand
involved,
in this one.
most likely.
Yeah,
Well,
Crunchyroll is
it can
involved in the
also
production of this, so I want to
yeah.
say
I mean,
it's
it can be that, or it can also. I mean, it can just come from random places. To be honest,
Well, I
it's
mean,
like
it's
a
not
lot
like
of
it's
the
bad. I'm just saying, like, if there was
yeah.
anyone, like, if there was any easy thing to point to, it'd probably be like, Crunchyroll would be like, who do we have? Who could we get for this? Well,
yeah. I mean, it can literally
is
be
this
like
really good
if you've
cover? Like,
heard
artist.
again if you've heard like how sometimes like the audition process and stuff or like the production process works. Sometimes they literally bring on people just by word of mouth, where it's like one
Yeah.
of the sound engineers will be like, "Oh, this guy, like I know this guy or whatever," and then they bring him on and blah blah. And that's sort of how the audition process works. A lot of it's again can be word of mouth at times, but yeah,
yeah,
again,
kudos to him. Good for him.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Thank you very much, Toast. And we are now going to move on to, I guess, my series here, which is one of the series that got a little bit of the spotlight in um, when it initially was previewed, and it is The Executioner and Her Way of Life, or Shokei Shoujo no Bajin Rodo.
Speaking of rape, here's some virgins.
I would have said, God damn it. What the hell? All right. Anyways, this is done by none other than JC Staff, and a lot of money has gone into this. So this is I forget if this is JC Staff's only series that they're doing this time or this season, but they it does look like a lot of decent money has been put into this. Uh what is this? Yeah, for just going over the staff real quick. Most voice acting cast is, I believe, Saiki Iori and Kar Moe are the two main characters in Meno and Tokito Akari. And they are not necessarily newcomers. They've been in the business doing, supporting roles and some other roles in smaller anime for like the better part of 3-4 years. And now they're coming up to speed a little bit more, doing this sort of main role. But also, other than that, they have a couple of characters coming up here. Kanemoto Hisako, Ichimichi Mao, or Mao for short, Uchita Yuma, a couple of others, Aizawa Saya, and then, a little bit, some of the lesser known voice actors slash actresses. Again, most of these people have done a decent number of supporting roles in the past 5 years or so, but it's nothing, big like A tier or A list actors to write home about. I do want to say, I want to give a really quick shout out to Mao. So one of the characters in this series is Ashina, a character called Ashina, and it's like this tomboyish princess, and she has like a very like kind of like uh how do I say this? Um, like a very low tone, um, almost what voice do like Yusuke Ryoka? Like Yusuke Ryoka or like Koshimizu Ami. Yeah. Koshimizu Ami like levels of like tomboyish, like let's get kind of like low voice, low timbre voice. And I was like, who's doing this? And apparently Mao is the one voicing this. So I was pretty surprised because Mao, I mean, she can kind of try going for like the boyish tone, kind of like how Toyosake Aki sometimes tries to do with like Medaka and stuff like that in Medaka box. But it's not really, it's she's usually on like the more girly standard like girlish timbre. Like she's known for instance doing Fumika in Idolmaster. So for her to take on a very like tomboyish, deep voice kind of role, it surprised me, but she does a very good job on it. So yeah. Anyway, solid voice acting cast for the most part. Most of the voices fit pretty well, and the general staff for this is pretty decent as well. I believe, I mean, at this point, like whenever JC staff does a major project, since they are a pretty big studio, right? The people that they are going to be bringing in are all going to be like veterans, are all going to be people with decent amount of experience, proficient at their field. The director, I believe, mainly worked on. Well, oh yeah, no, okay. So the director is a little bit not a greenhorn necessarily, but this is like his first major project, I believe. He helped out with stuff like Ascendance of a Bookworm. He did a little bit of like Izeta and stuff like that. I mean, Izeta isn't the best thing to write home about, but he's him and the 3D guy, I believe, 3D guy in Shibayama Kazuo, the, the director and the 3D chief animation or chief 3D animation director are like the only sort of like you know, less experienced people, but everybody else, like, the series composition guy, the chief animators, the director of photography, everybody else is just like major veterans in the field. So, you know, so they're pretty much coming in hot here. Decent amount of money, and the audio visuals do reflect that. It's pretty good. Audio, there's like a decent amount of action scenes and like, big monsters appearing and so on. And it's almost like I don't know, like Shokei Shoujo does a pretty fucking good job. It reminds me like the actions, especially since like a lot of like the superpowers inside this show are like based upon like these sorts of like electronic like crests, like these like diagonal like square like you guys know what I'm talking about, right? When like, people like magical girls or like mechas or like, kind of like Sentai stuff are doing like transforms. Those like crests that come out from their like wrists, right? Like from their wristwatches or like from their belts and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
It's like that sort of animation and doing the spells and like, when it's like barriers form and stuff like that. They do a pretty good job with that, and a lot of that's very fluid, and a lot of the action is pretty good. Obviously, it's not like movie levels. It's not like UFO table levels of like we're gonna wait 5 years and a couple of scandals for that sort of shit. But it's very good for what it is. So props to that. I thought I was watching. It's like watching. It was like watching index level of action. It was like watching Kyokai Senjo no Horizon levels of like sunrise ish, like old sunrise kind of stuff. So I was very surprised. Yeah, Glyph Tech says yes in chat. I was very surprised at the level of like visuals that JC staff managed to pull up for this series. To be honest, like I didn't expect that at all. So they did quite a good job on that. I really like the audio stuff. It's been a while since I've been like since I've been like watching an anime and in the middle of it I've been like I just comment like, "Oh, that's a cute thing to do with a BGM." Um there's like a general mix, but for some reason, like especially again when it comes to Princess Ashina, again the sort of tomboyish princess voiced by Mao, the theme turns into this like Western, Latin, like Mexican, like very like stereotypical Western cowboy Mexican thing with like a lot of pizzicato guitar, kind of plucked guitar kind of stuff, plus like trumpets coming in the background. And I'm just like, that's cute. Like, what's going on here?
What about maracas? You said Mexican, right?
There's like, I forget if there are like hints of that, but it's mainly like guitar trumpets kind of stuff.
Is it like Olay kind of stuff? Because the last anime they had a lot of I want to say it had a lot of Mexican what is it undertones to it. Was the Broly movie with Goku versus Broly soundtrack? Because that was
I wonder
that
why.
was
I wonder why. I wonder why Dragon Ball series would have Mexican.
Yeah, I just very curious.
I
Yeah,
mean
just kind of weird. I don't know.
I-
Just thinking aloud.
they might have
Yeah.
they might have taken that whole thing where they're like, oh, we're gonna have a whole what was that? It's like the whole, like an entire village went out to watch Goku versus Jiren, and I was like, that's cool.
But yeah,
I don't know. I remember this.
I would say like um I kind of posted like a example of like Kyokei Senju no Horizon like thing in chat here, but it's like I should just post the fucking executioner like fight, but I forget like what to search for exactly. But it's kind of like that, or it's like a lot of there's like these crests and like glyphs and stuff like that, and I was like, oh damn, this is cool. And it's been a while. Sakura-chan chat says great visuals, but visuals as good as the hand animations. The issue with Konosuba, and I say
Konosuba
issues
looks like
lightly,
shit.
is
It
that like
does.
Konosuba's like the explosion animations, like they spent all their money on that, and like everything else is kind of like, yeah, Nanoha,
What do
exactly.
you mean,
Session
dude? Are you saying Konosuba's in betweens where they don't even look human are not good?
Oh man, I
yeah,
love those.
could perhaps not
Dude,
be very good.
But in betweens don't have to look good, don't you?
Yeah, you just
Yeah,
blink your
you're right. You're right.
eyes
You're right. You're
more.
right. Yeah, just close your eyes and they're not real.
Close your eyes at like 30 frames per second, bro.
It's like
Yeah.
look, dude. It was like backgrounds in One Punch Man season 2. You're not supposed to look at them.
They're like not even there, basically.
You're not supposed to see this.
But yeah,
Man.
I
Actual
really did
words
like.
that were said to me.
But yeah, speaking Nanoha's fight scenes are still fantastic. There you go. Here's an in between.
But yeah,
Yeah, this one rocks.
yeah, this is just a very small tangent, but I will say, Kyokai Senjo no Horizon, because the original source material is like an actual novel, not like a light novel. It's like a thick fucking novel.
Yeah.
It is a very hard sell as an anime. I love the series, but I would
And
100%.
it's like all like politics and world building, right? So,
Yeah, and it's like a world, because it's like the world itself is like it's like it got like shifted into like a parallel world, and then now they have to create like a United Nations kind of thing, and it's like fuck.
yeah.
But anyways, and also it didn't help that the translations, the major group that translated at the time was Hadina, and we don't talk about Hadina in
The
this.
good old days, the good old days.
Yeah, yeah, all right. Anyways, so going back to Shokei Shoujo, again, audio visuals are solid. JC Staff stuff, JC Staff usually doesn't have many like terrible days, but this is a very good day for. This is like
All
index
right,
level.
that's a lie.
Yeah, that's not true.
That's an
JC Staff has
absolute
JC
fucking
Staff
lie.
has
You
JC
may have been
Staff's
able to
like
say that
every
like
day
10
is
years
okay.
ago.
Like they're not good, especially.
What was
Like,
their
let's be real.
recent stuff?
Even
I keep
Index,
forgetting what the
like
recent stuff was.
Railgun 3 was a fucking miracle that T worked the
That's
way
true.
it did. Or that's like the only series they
this
care
is
about,
because
really.
this is because I keep forgetting about the recent like stuff that they did, because it's like
Yeah,
they kept doing
yeah.
like Sento and Hakken Shimasu. They did yeah, they keep just like shitting out like some like random mediocre stuff, right? Recently, and it's like, god damn it. Um Requiem of the Rose King, I forget how that was okay
It
audiovisual
was
wise.
not. It wasn't great. It was
Yeah,
like
okay.
because when I covered it, like I said, it has some like cool moments where it's like got the painting like style,
Mhm.
but for the rest of it, it's kind of just mid,
Yeah,
super mid.
so they're all like pouring money into fucking shit like Kudo After. Why did this become a movie, by the way? And then also uh like I love Little Busters, but why did Kudo After become a movie? But they did that, and then they're also they're putting all of the money into like Danmachi and shit like that, right? Is what I'm Shokugeki no Soma.
Probably.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry for the tangents. So JC staff stuff, decent amount of money going into this. Going into the story is just like, um, it's an isekai premise where Japanese people are getting isekai'd, for one reason or another. It's either they're getting isekai by like actual people, like like magicians are isekaiing them in, or they're getting isekai'd in naturally, and they pretty much always have these powers. But the people in the world see that these powers are super dangerous. So the church, the sort of religious side, has taken actions to send out these people called executioners, who kind of, get close to these Japanese isekai people, also known as lost ones, and kill them before their power does damage. Because obviously, if these Japanese people have these huge isekai powers that do fucked up shit, then it's bad if they go out of control and stuff. And that so one of the main characters in the story is, again, the one of the executioners, Meno, the blonde haired girl in like the posters. And she's an executioner. She's killed like a bunch of like isekai people. And she's trying to kill this one girl called what is it? Akari, right? Who's a Japanese girl whose power is to turn back time. And it's like obviously turn back time, and it's like a huge power and stuff like that. And the issue is she can't kill her because every time Akari, the Japanese girl with the time power, regression power, gets killed, her power naturally kind of performs even when she's dead or on the verge of dying, and resurrects her. And so now the rest of the story kind of stuff ends up becoming a general sort of flowing story thing. It's not like an episodic uh, thing. It's more like a series of bigger arcs. I want to say about 4 to 6 episodes per arc ish. All enclosed within like a bigger story, world building story, obviously. Each large arc, kind of going over their sort of adventures, where Menno is trying to find out ways to kill Akari because because it's her duty as an executioner to kill this isekai Japanese person with a dangerous power because it's her job. She's trying to kill her, and she's trying to journey with Akari alongside her while trying to kill her in like these various ways. And in the meanwhile, the both of them kind of develop the relationship, learn more about the world that they're in, learn more about the nature of Akari's time regression power, the nature of like the isekai like powers and everything else. So the story is mainly a balance of a little bit of that world building, as I just said, like them finding about exactly about what these isekai powers and the dangers are, and what Akari's power is in her past, and what she does. Especially since Akari's power, when she uses it, does the time regression stuff like that. She sometimes loses her memory, and um, because of that, sometimes like there's like this like sort of inner personality or whatever that pops up, and that's like part of her like exposition. She has this like inner personality that remembers all of like the times where she died and like went through stuff with like Minnow, and that's pretty much the author's way of being like, yeah, I'm going to advance the story with with this inner personality. I'm just gonna do the exposition because I'm like, there's no way I can advance the plot enough otherwise.
I
Kind
have
of
a
thing
question.
goes
How
on.
does she figure out that this girl can rewind time when she kills her if it keeps rewinding
Uh,
time?
so
Is
it's a
there a
very
clever way
like,
they do that, or does she just like
no, it's not very
remember
clever.
time
It's like
being rewound?
it's like Deus Ex ish. It's like semi Deus Ex where the time regression uh isn't global. Like it's not like the entire world goes back in time. It's like the things relevant to Akari, like the world, the context in which she's involved in, whether it's just herself being killed or whether it's like her and like her kind of like friends being killed or whatever, it's like that's when the power activates and affects. So it's like if she's the one that's just being killed, like if she's just the one that got stabbed, then she's pretty much the only one that will revert. And Meno will be like, you just came back. You literally like rewinded yourself, and like she'll see like Akari kind of rewind and like sort of undie, right? So yeah. I My okay, sorry. I was trying to talk about the balance, right? So the balance is between a talk about, again, the world, like, the powers and stuff like that, and about Akari herself and like who she really is and what her powers are. It's a balance of that. It's a balance of the action scenes, and it's these sorts of like constant retrospections about Menno, because Menno was like, she has a story where she was in like this orphanage kind of thing with a church, and she was taught by the one of the like big like executioner people there, whose sort of like motto and like philosophy and her teaching was like, you know, you guys are bad people because like we're supposed to be bad people because we're killing innocent like isekai people, like who might not really think about what their powers are or whatever, or just people that just got isekai and now they have powers, but we have to kill them regardless because they might cause a danger to our world with those powers. So we have to kill them, and we'll be looked down on and we'll be hated and resented, but we have to be the bad guys in order to, right, save the world, protect the world. And um the backstory build up is sort of like a repetition of that, like, oh, I have to be the cold-hearted villain, even if I, maybe might develop feelings for Akari or whatever. I have to kill her because it's for the best, right? Stuff like that. So it's a balance of those three things: it's the action, the world building of the powers and stuff like that, and a little bit of retrospection on Menno as an executioner, on like, I have to be the villain, I have to be the bad guy, um, the whole like the the anti. Why did I blink out the anti protagonist? What's the name for that?
Antagonist
No,
Antagonist?
no, 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 not the opposing.
or
Anti-hero?
the deuteragonist.
Anti-hero, excuse me,
Oh,
anti-hero.
okay.
I'm retarded. Okay, so the anti-hero, yes. Oh, I have to be the anti-hero. Dirty Harry kind of stuff, right? It's so it's a lot of that. And my thoughts on this is, I really like the way this premise is set up. And it's just, like, because not only obviously does it create a, not necessarily like, it's not like the first time, right, that this sort of idea has been thought about, but it's certainly this, I think, the first time I've seen where the powers are thought of and explored in this way and this perspective. First, because the perspective is being explored from the side of like the isekai people, right? It's not from the side of like the Japanese um, people that are getting isekai'd, right, into the Final Fantasy world. It's from the perspective of like the people who are kind of watching this destruction happen and like the isekai stuff happening, and that's certainly new. And it kind of reminds me of the whole like, it's like how, the DC people kind of tried to in their cinematic universe, right? They tried to in Batman versus Superman or whatever, right? It's like they tried to set up that opening scene where it's like the Superman and General Zod were like fighting, right? And like Batman
Yeah.
was like running and like he saw like the destruction and stuff like that. It's kind of like that, right? Where it's like, oh, we have to deal with these people. You have to deal with these isekai people because they cause destruction. And specifically, like the reason why executioners were born or were created, spoiler alert, I guess, was because in the history of that feudal fantasy world, the isekai world, right? Uh, the lore is that there were 4 Japanese isekai people that created great havoc upon the world. One created this like pandemonium, like literally created this like pandemic,
Why is
like
it
chaos,
always
disease,
Japanese
destruction.
people? Why can't it be Americans or
Yeah, why can't it be
Russians
the? Yeah,
or
exactly.
Chinese or something?
Yeah.
Oh wait, no,
Uh,
that's the Korean. Well, you can't have Korean isekais because they have a tower. Somebody shows off
they
his
already have a
soul one
tower,
day.
yeah. But yeah, there's another, like chaos, like another sort of thing where it's like another isekai person created the sort of like blanching and like turned like in an entire town or like entire like region into salt and like white like sand or whatever, and just like blanched everybody. And so these like natural like supernatural disasters happened in the history books of that world, and that's why they're trying to prevent this from happening. And that's like a very reasonable thing to like set up, and and a very reasonable thing to assume if we assume like people with these like standard isekai powers and how people in a fantasy feudal world would react to these people, right? If they had if isekai people with like mad superpowers that could cause disasters come in, they would probably do the same stuff, right? They like people in that feudal world would probably be like, we need to kill these motherfuckers, else they're going to cause disasters and kill us all, right? So I really like the way this premise is like set up like that. And again, it's like all very reasonable. And even like the way that, for instance, like Menno talks about like these powers and like how to deal with these like killing people. For instance, like they're banned from trying to like poison people or like kill them slowly because they're afraid like the power will go berserk as the person's body condition deteriorates while they're getting poisoned, right? And they don't want to do that because if they do that, they'll all get fucked, right? So um, they're always trying to find ways to like kill them swiftly, like kill them like that, because if they try to kill them slowly and like the isekai person like blows up or something like that, then it's really bad. So I like all this like sort of thought consideration, new perspective that the author put in for this. Whenever
So
they
this is
do
like The Boys.
True,
it,
kind of. Yeah.
yes, it is. Um, yeah, a little. Yes, I would agree
Just
with
not just
that.
not from like a it's not like from like a revenge focus point. It's more of like they're
Like
almost
we have to do so
they're like
elsewhere.
fucking
Yeah,
space cops basically. Like
yeah.
where it's
It's
like
literally like if Superman. Everybody knows that Superman can be bad. So what do we do now? Kind of thing,
yeah.
right? Um, so it is like that, and I would say it's a little bit more um, like the interactions are a little bit more realistic in a or like the back and forth conflict is a little bit more realistic in a sense because
Yeah.
while like Akane's power itself is like fucked up, the other like people have like isekai powers, but they can be killed, and it's not like the Homelander situation, right, where it's like he's literally like the entire story is about like them not trying to get killed by Homelander. It's more
Yeah.
like that, right? In voice. In this thing, like these guy people can mostly be killed. They just have to be killed pretty carefully. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
There's
like
no
it's
Superman equivalent. It's just like
yeah, exactly. There, it's not like about if we don't like bring everybody together, we're completely fucked. It's not like that.
yeah.
Um, so that's also nice. It's like all within like reason. It's like a very reasonable premise of like what would happen and how people would react and what people would need to do if like Japanese isekai people came into the world and started shooting like laser beams and shit. It's very reasonable. And so that's going on. A lot of the sort of like comedic Yuri stuff is very like kind of like slight on the side. It's like a dab of like warm butter on like toast, like here and there. You know how it's like if you go to a restaurant and like you have like the bread and the butter, you don't like slather all the butter like on the bread, right? You kind of
No,
put the
you
dabs
dip it,
here.
bro. You dip it into
You dip it into the butter,
you dip it into
no
a
the
vat
butter.
of
Yeah,
butter.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you have you
It's
like
like
dab
fondue.
yeah.
exactly. So you have like the dabs here and there of like the comedic kind of Yuri, very light, but it's again very light and um all in a lot of these series, right? There's a change in the art style or there's a very obvious like change in the tone whenever that there's that sort of comedic Yuri kind of like relationship related stuff. But there's no change in the art style or even like really that much of a tone. There's like 30 seconds of that sort of like banter between of comedy where between the two characters or when they're batting quips back and forth during battle or whatever, and they're going a little bit, Yuri, oh, I might have fallen for you, blah 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 blah. But the art style doesn't change, like the scene doesn't really change, stuff like that. And I think that's a very nice way to do it. It's like very light, and then going back into business. I like that as well. So we're not just like oh, by the way, we're all doing Yuurei stuff. I thought it would be a little bit more of that, but it's not. So that's very
Right.
nice. The I don't know why I suddenly remember the EDOP. I'm not that impressed by the opening and ending, but if you want to check it out, the opening is by Millie of Goblin Slayer opening fame, and the ending is by Chocho. I don't need to talk about Chocho, right? So it's not
Never heard
like
of.
they're sung by bad people, right? Never heard of them. Yeah, exactly. The only thing I would take away from going back to the story, the only thing I would really take away from the story here is that sometimes it does lose a little bit of the pacing, but it gets a little bit slow because it's trying to kind of like step through a bunch of like how it goes through a bunch of different character perspectives. And so as it develops the cast, right? So it does get a little bit slow at times as it rotates through the cast, but for the most part, it's very reasonable. It's like, it's one of the few times in the past like year, maybe couple of years, where I've really been like, oh, that's reasonable why they do that. Like this is like them being an executioner, like them doing this, them doing that. It's like I understand. Like this is an actual thing that I myself might do, instead of being like, oh yes, this needs to happen because it is part of the moral of the story. Like it's an actual reasonable thing that reasonable people would do in this sort of setting. And don't say that often. So the only thing I would take away from this is that I would like to see a little bit more of like Menno is whenever she does like the retrospection on like how she became this like executioner and like how she has to kill Akari because it's her job. It always goes back into like, oh, I need to do it because I need to uphold the honor, like the teachings of my previous master, where it's like, I need to do it to protect the world. She like this dangerous existence. I have to be the bad guy. I have to ignore, all these like, friendship bonds of friendship, relationship, whatever the hell, things I have with Akari. I have to do it because it's my duty, stuff like that. Um, and that kind of keeps coming up. But I feel like there's not enough exploration into something that might be a little bit more valuable and maybe perhaps cathartic in exploring, which is like why she's doing this, right? It's like, is there really a need to kill someone like Akari at all if she's only doing like if it's not like some of the like for instance like the isekai power of like so at the very beginning of the series, Menno gets into contact with a guy, a random like Japanese schoolboy that got isekai and has this power of like literally like nullifying things. Mahoka, right? Where the main character can literally like disintegrate stuff, right? With
Yeah.
his power. That's like his power. He can literally just like disintegrate random like blocks of things, like entire like churches and buildings and shit. So it like that thing is like obviously that's a dangerous power, right? But if it's something like maybe maybe a little bit more innocent, like time regression, like do I really have to do this? Like why is the church pushing me towards this so much? Some sort of like that sort of introspection might be a little bit nice, kind of like twisting the knife in terms of emotions a little bit, right? Being like, do I really have to do this? Do I really have to kill all of these innocent isekai Japanese people? Or maybe, maybe I can take a middle ground here or something like that. I think that would have been nice, but I think there's a little bit of a too much of a heavier focus on like, oh, I need to do it because it's my job. And then that's gonna obviously lead into the whole like duty versus friendship kind of vibes thing, right? And that's a very obvious end that the story is gonna resolve towards. So um uh, on that though, I think the premise and the way the story kind of pans out is quite excellent. I think the little dabs, very light dabs of like comedic Yuurei kind of stuff here and there is very nicely done. I thought it would be like full, just like smacking like Sakura the trick kind of levels of like Yuri
Oh,
or like
Sakura
Love Life.
Drake.
Yeah, Sakura the trick or like Love Laugh levels of like Yuri, but it's not, which is very nice. And overall, I just think I almost think that the complete package has a decent chance of becoming one of my candidates for anime of the year, and I'm being completely serious about this. I think it's a very solid package overall. There's not really much that can be said like, oh, this is shitty or like this is legitimately like mediocre about it. Most of the stuff is like average, above average, to pretty solid to great. So I think yeah, I mean, that's all I really have to say about it. JC staff did a pretty good job with this. I don't know how much money that they poured into this, but apparently it's a decent amount. If you do want to kind of see a fresher take on Isekai, maybe not as much Yuri as you might expect from the cover, from the poster art, but maybe dabs here and there. If you want to check this out, please do. Again, this is a light novel original. It is a JC staff published. Yeah, it is made by JC staff. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Please
So
do
what?
check it out. Yep.
So what you're saying is they're stronger than Jolene is in part 6. Who would
What do you
win?
mean?
Who would win in a fight? By the female cast of Stone Ocean or the Virgin Roads?
I think, I mean the people in
We
the
have we
Virgin
have to
Road
we
anime
have
isn't
to
that strong.
compare all
Yeah,
female cast
yeah. We
versus an
just
all
have to
female
have like a
cast.
female brawl of like every female hero in media. That's how this works, right?
I,
Yeah,
yeah,
duh.
I
Spire. If
I
if if we can do a go who's stronger, Vegito or Gogeta, we can do a who's stronger,
I.
Virgin Roads or Stone Ocean.
I think Virgin Road people are not that strong to be. I mean, again, it's the whole point is like they're like they have like superpowers and stuff like that, but they're relatively regular people. And even like the main character, Minnow, the blonde girl here, is supposed to be like not that talented. It's just that she worked really hard. The hard worker, haha, kind of thing. But you know, it's she's not like that strong. So yeah. Anyways, that was my review of Shokei Shoujo no Fajin Rodo, and The Executioner and Her Way of Life, I believe, is the English title. So please do check that out if you're interested. And last but not least, we come to Nier. What do you have for us today, sir?
So I watched Danseur, which
Yes,
is
another one of the big series that we were kind of looking out for. I think.
yeah.
I,
This
I think
is
I think anybody
Whoa.
anybody with like a reasonable like expectation in the season coming in, we're also looking out for this series, right?
Speaking of virgins, look at those big ol' eyes.
uh-huh.
I do.
So this is a MAPPA series.
Yes.
This is
They
a
yeah they
sports romance drama series.
they brought in a lot of the Mappa people. The studio, I mean, not the studio, the crew kind of working on this is I mean, because Mappa is like a small studio. It's not like JC Staff or like A1 Pictures or stuff like that, where they just like have people rotating in and out, or even like Silverlink. So, but Mappa Studio, relatively small, but they also, from what I've seen, other than like the actual director himself, most of the people like involved in like the art and like the music and stuff like that are from the recent Zombieland saga, season 2 Goon Squad, pretty much. They brought in like all the major people from that, and so that's who they're doing for like the audio visuals.
Yeah.
This one.
But yeah, so this is a dancing anime about ballet. The basic premise is the main character, Junpei Murao,
Mhm.
has been interested in ballet ever since he was a kid. The scene they show is like he like falls asleep at his like sister's like ballet show thing, but then after I guess after the kids are done, guess they have like an actual professional um do like a performance, and then he watches that and he gets enamored with the art of ballet, and he wants to be a ballet dancer. But shortly after, he begins practicing. He gets made fun of in school because ballet is girly. And then shortly after that, his father passes away. Um, and his father was a stunt coordinator. And because you know, uh, there's some scenes, but basically, his uncle is like, after his father passes away, he says you have to be the man of the house, and so he gets it in his head that um, because ballet isn't manly, it's something that he shouldn't be focusing on. So he practices Jeet Kune Do um, instead until he meets the female lead, who is Miyako Godai, and she sees him do a like flying judo kick to show off when he's like showing off to some other students, and she notices that he basically has like ballet um like technique put into like the spin of his kick or whatever.
Right.
And so she approaches him and
He's
asks,
natural.
yeah, she approaches him and asks him to join um her mother's like ballet studio, like school or whatever. Um, and essentially, it goes through the usual sports shit where it's like, wow, you're basically a prodigy, huh? Yada yada yada, and it goes through the whole thing of like him grappling with, oh, do I want to stick in the soccer club and do Jeet Kune Do, or do I like want to follow like my true passion and do dance? And it does this back and forth for like 3 episodes, um, where it's like, oh, ballet is not manly or cool, um, but then like everyone around him is kind of like, you know you should just follow your passion, except for his quote unquote friends, right, which is basically who he's in the soccer club with, where um the his friends in the soccer club are like dude bros, right, and uh they start actually after the rival character, as all sports series have to have, is the character on the right here with the gray hair and the blue eyes. Um, and he's been practicing ballet like all of his life, like ever since he was a child, right? And he's the son of, I guess, a famous idol or something. Um, but he's like a foreigner. I'm not really sure how that works, but
What?
yeah, I don't know. But he's been practicing all his life, and he transfers into um the high school that the main character is going to, um and he starts getting bullied by the main character's like friend group, right? um and that sort of drives a wedge between uh the main character and his friends, and sort of has him like wake up and realize like, this isn't cool. Like, I don't really need to put up like this sort of front of like pretending to be like, you know, oh, I need to be manly to, keep up a facade to like these kinds of people. And so he sticks up for um the rival dude and says like, I'm quitting the soccer club and I'm doing ballet instead. And from there, it sort of uh essentially just focuses into pretty standard um sports stuff. He does a bunch of ballet training because like the ballet that he's been doing has it's like it's not been like formal, like he hasn't been like actually taught. He's kind of just been doing it in private for fun, so he doesn't know um like the standard techniques or whatever. He just kind of uses his athleticism to like you know cover for what would normally be standard
Like,
technique.
he's rough
Yeah.
around the edges.
The street
And
ballet.
they say like because he does that, you know, he's more prone to injury and stuff like that. So he has to learn. He basically has to go back to basics, right, before he can really dance on stage. So they do that, and then you know they do the standard rivalry stuff between the main character and the other dude, and through their rivalry they sort of get closer, yada yada yada. There's some romance as well between the main character and Miyako. There's like a weird scene in the third episode, I think, where it's like they. I don't really know what the author was going for with this scene, but like, so they like the main character gets it in his head that um the only reason that Miyako invited him to the ballet studio was so he could be friends with the rival character whose name is
Right.
Luo. And because he gets this into his head, thinks that Miyako like likes the rival character Luo. But then when he asks that, like he asks her up front, she's like, "No, he's my cousin. What the fuck are you talking about?" Right? Like they're related. Um, then he like gets all mopey and he like leaves the ballet club for like a few weeks, and it's like, what
Well,
is
it's
the
like,
point of
and then
this
he
scene?
comes back later and he gets inspired by it, and
Yeah,
then kind
he
of goes.
does. I mean, he does do that, which is like you know the standard fucking sports
Yeah,
shit.
it's a
But
Disney
I don't
kind of.
really
He was
know.
It's the
given it.
Disney arc.
He was literally
Yeah, I don't really
handed the
know.
victory.
I don't really know what the point of him like being dejected was when it's like, oh, you like him, huh? And she's like, no, he's my cousin, and he's like, damn, I guess I'm out. It's like, what? What are you talking about? It was a weird scene. But yeah,
Look, he's been reading way too many dojins. Like,
yeah.
a lot.
Contrary to what the cover art would have you believe, this is not a love triangle. It's kind of just a standard sports series with a romance interest, and there's a lot of like rivalry shit, which you would
The thing is,
expect.
the way I saw it, because I've seen, I mean, I watched this series too, and I've caught up to it up until the latest episode, which is episode 6, I believe, right?
I think there's 8, but I watched up to
8?
episode
Okay.
6 as well. Yeah,
So how do I say this? I do. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with like the whole like dancing thing, the pretty standard like, oh, I'm gonna become better, or like what does it mean to do like ballet as like a man? The whole like the confluence of premises, right? I'm fine
yeah.
with that,
Fire
but
bravely saying that he's okay with men dancing.
yeah. How come we got men dancing in here? Okay, but yeah.
Now listen, I'm okay with
This
that.
this is the
But
fall of Western civilization.
Yeah, but
First, men are dancing, and then they're gonna do
two
what?
men
Figure skating
dancing?
next?
yeah.
Two
Are they
of
gonna
them?
start sewing next? What? Oh God. But yeah, the thing I was trying to go for is that I think it's fine up to here, but I don't like the way that this the cousin or Godai Miyako or the girl, right, is kind of being included. You know what I mean? It's like I don't. It's like this. She seems kind of unnecessary, except for very specifically like introducing the character into this whole like shenanigans, right? And then it kind of becomes this thing where it's like whenever the author or the storyboard, not storyboard, but the series composition people feel like the series kind of needs a sort of some jab of adrenaline, right? She might come in and be like, by the way, love triangle, and
I mean, it's not really
because
a love triangle, right? It's kind of just like it's just hints of romance, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah. But even that, I just think it's like bothersome
I mean,
because
it's
even
not.
the way it's like done here, right? It's like she just came in like, by the way, this happened, and then she jabs the series in the butt, right? It's like with a
Is it
needle,
like,
right? And then
is it almost like you're thinking like, like you would see in a lot of like shoujo series or something with like a male, not really harem, but some shoujo
It's
series where
it,
it's
it it's
like,
like
you know, the
how
male is the
Chihaya
focus.
Fruit. It's like how Chihaya Fruit
It's
panned
gonna be like
out, but
Chai Food, but
imagine
like she
but
doesn't
imagine
actually
if
play.
yeah, but imagine if
Oh, she
the
danced.
male characters were the leads, and then there was like a little bit it cut back on the specific romance scenes. That's sort of
Yeah,
how
yeah, I
this
suppose like
panned out.
I should say that like where it's like a shoujo series, but somehow the lead isn't the
Yeah,
female.
yeah. I do want to be a little bit
At least as
careful of
far
that
as
because
her role fits in. Not
yeah, yeah.
saying
I
like
mean, I do want to be careful with that with how I phrase this because I do agree with Nier. I'm not saying like, oh, they're constantly like shoving this in, but I just feel like the way the author sometimes goes like, by the way, by the way, just in case you guys needed some sort of like slight like cathartic value or like slight like tension value, here's like slight tinges of like will they won't they kind of thing. And it's like
Yeah, I mean,
eh.
so I think it's not bad here because it's like I do agree it's not necessary. Like, I mean,
Right.
it doesn't really. It's not really like adding to the main character's like
Yeah.
overall,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
the main complaint I had.
drive to
Like it's
dance
not
or
really
anything.
or
Like,
like the general
obviously,
kind of like relationships kind of thing.
yeah,
It's not really.
but I do think it's not done. It's not like super. It's not obnoxious, right? Because
It's not
again,
hanging on. It's not hanging on.
yeah,
It's like the
it's not like
character's not constantly like, oh fuck, oh man, I need you.
it's
Yeah,
not like this is a dance series, but also the girl is there, right? Because she's in the ballet, right? And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because she is, so the ballet that they're doing, the dance that they're performing, is
Mhm.
Black Swan, right?
Right,
And
right.
um, if you don't know, the Black Swan is it's the prince who the main character is the role of. He is the prince in this dance.
Mhm,
The prince falls in love with the princess, who is like cursed to like transform into a swan or some shit.
mhm,
And then the villain, who is played by uh, the rival character Luo, I forget his name. I forget what the villain's name is, like Rothbard or something. But he does battle with the prince. He defeats the prince and basically takes the princess, right?
mhm,
Um, and so the way that they're doing, I guess, sort of the way that they're sort of, I guess, um, showing like the passion of them dancing is the love interest, right? Because the main female lead, Miyako, she is the princess in this dance, right? And
mhm.
because he is so passionate about her, he's very interested in like he's smitten with her.
Right.
Um, it it is a sort of backdrop for him to, you know, they call it like acting, right? Like it's the acting nature of his dance, right?
Mhm.
Like the passion he puts into the dance and the performance and the character. Um, that's sort of the backdrop of why they they're putting him as sort of like, you know, he he captivates the crowd with his acting, right? He
Right.
encapsulates the character so well is
Because
because
he's so passionate.
he
Yeah.
is genuinely in love with the
Right. Right.
female
Right.
lead, right? Which I think is a good way of incorporating the story of the Black Swan dance into the actual romance. Now, again,
Mhm.
I do agree it's not really necessary. It doesn't add that much to the overall story, but I think it is a good like thematic way of incorporating them being like,
Right.
hey, we're
Right. At
doing
least on
Black
the ballet
Swan.
side. At least on the ballet side, it's
Yeah.
a nice layer. Yes.
I think
Yes.
outside of the dance, the romance is pretty weak, right? Because
Mhm.
you know when they went to um the ballet like showing, like when they went to like watch the ballet together,
Right.
I
Right.
feel like that was pretty weak. Um, when they danced in the woods, I feel like, you know, outside of being a visually fucking gorgeous scene, I feel like the romance wasn't really there that much. But yeah, I
Mhm.
do agree. It's not like the romance isn't amazing. It's not really like super like it doesn't need to be there. But I do appreciate that they incorporated it into the fact that they're doing the Black Swan. Um, it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah. I mean,
it's
like
inoffensive, right?
when you mention it that way, yeah, I 100% agree. Like it definitely adds like that extra like layer on top of like the what they're doing inside of the ballet theme, right?
Yeah, because I think them adding that into the dance segments sort of avoids the issue that a lot of these like sports series have, where when they're showing him in the actual act of doing the dance, it's not just him constantly going, "I love dancing, I love dancing, I love dancing, I love dancing so much, I love dancing." Right?
Yeah, yeah. It's like
There's
dance.
another
Yes.
motive
Yeah,
to
exactly.
it for why he's enjoying this dance so much, right?
Yeah,
Because
I can
he's with
respect
the
that.
girl,
Yeah.
he's also, dancing with the rival who he's got, the rivalry with, and, he wants to one up him. They both want to one up each other. I think there's more layers going on here than
Mm.
a lot of other sports series have when it's doing
Yeah.
the actual act of
Instead
it.
of just being like, I'm in love with the water or
Yeah.
whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Instead of
I
just being like,
100% agree.
I love water so much. I only feel at home when I'm in the water. Like, okay, dude.
Hydro.
Never gonna
Sure.
we're never gonna get let go of that shit.
I mean,
Especially
it's
since like
just so
Free makes a
dumb,
movie
bro.
every other year or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you
Um,
think like your big gripe then, Spire, is like, because at least from what I'm hearing, there's the potential of, does the heroine not get a lot of like outside of the group moments, like development? In that
she
sense, like
doesn't
does she
get
So,
not?
much screen time in
Yeah.
general, to be honest. She's
yeah, I
kind
mean,
of just there to be
to kind of
like,
poke the plot along.
yeah,
Right?
she's kind of just there
Okay.
to sort of jab the main
And
character
also
in the
gives
sides
like that
sometimes.
sort of
Yeah. So it's not like a scenario of sort of
yeah.
like
Oh yeah,
trio
again,
of
I
mains. It's very
100%
much
yeah.
still like
No,
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
just
just
main
the
that
two
main
plus
character.
character.
bro.
It's the main character and it's the rival. Those are the
Yeah.
two. Those are your two protagonists.
It's essentially
Um,
like how in
Okay.
Free like knows that token girl like run or whatever, right? That
Yeah,
girl.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I
Imagine if she
mean.
was a
Like
little bit more
she's
involved.
fitting into that same sort of
It's
Yeah.
she's
that sort of
she's more
scenario.
involved, but it is generally the same role.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Like
so I
outside of
100%
that,
again.
it is a very okay.
Yeah. I
Okay, so
100%
what?
agree with
And
Nier.
also, what you're also
With
saying
like
is you're very disappointed that it's not a BL series.
Yeah,
yeah,
unfortunately, they
yeah.
do
I
not
wish
fuck
they were
each other in the
gay. Yeah,
ass. But
exactly. Like during the actual ballet like
yeah,
show.
during the
Exactly.
ballet,
Fire's
During the
like, I
school
really thought I was going to see boys kissing during the dance.
during the school festival. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I 100% agree with Nier that again it's like within like the actual like ballet theme and like the scenes and stuff like that. They definitely give she definitely gives that sort of relationship adds the extra layer. I just to clarify to Dark, I was just a little bit disappointed in the fact that outside of that, she ends up kind of her kind of two roles in terms of like the actual story is to either railroad the story somewhere or to kind of give it a again, I don't want to really diss the series, but I feel like it's almost like a slightly cheap emotional jab, right? It's like, oh,
yeah,
do you want some drama, bitch? Like, here you go, kind of thing. And so, that's sort of what it felt. But I agree with Nira on how he views the position of the character for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyways,
but yeah, I mean, overall, in terms of story, again, it's very much like if you've seen a sports series, you kind of know what you're getting into.
yeah, pretty much.
It's very rivalry focused.
Yeah.
It's very like
Has a
main
training arcs,
character.
has
Yeah, main
everything.
character wants to aim for the top.
Mm.
Which I do appreciate that in this series at least. Um, they pretty much outright say like, yeah, in order for you to get to the top, it's basically fucking impossible. Like you're probably not going to be able to do it.
Mm.
Because like the way they described it is like, because the top that they say here is basically to be a Russian like a Danseur maestro or whatever. I forget what they called it. Danseur noble, I think. Um, and in order to do that, you need to go to obviously a Russian ballet school, you need to, you know, go through. I think they said like 8 years of schooling, and then like another like fucking several years of
Is this like a doctorate degree? What's happening?
yeah, like they basically set it up like yeah, it's like you basically have to go through essentially like medical school of ballet, where they fucking like physically abuse you essentially into being like the perfect ballet dancer, and on top of that, you need to have like the perfect fucking bone structure, and also you
Perfect
need
bow structure.
yeah you need to be tall. Which the main character is not. They pointed out multiple times that the main character is short. In fact, he's shorter than the female lead, which I guess in the ballet
Short
world
King.
is like considered not like good and not normal. I guess you typically want the prince to be taller than the princess when you're doing like partner dances or whatever. Um, I I don't really know, but um, yeah, they basically set it out initially that it's like you have a shot to be the top,
Yeah,
but
but fuck
it's
you, kid.
basically
Yeah.
fucking impossible. You're
Yeah,
probably not
exactly.
gonna do it. But we can give it our best. Which I do appreciate because a lot of the times these sports series is kind of just like I want to be the best in the world, and whoever's mentoring them is just like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, and then they
But with
become
this,
like
they very much set up that like the world of ballet, especially for men, is
Mhm.
pretty fucking brutal, uh,
Right.
which is a more interesting dynamic, I guess. And then they
So
also have this. They also have the setup where um, a lot of the like ballet judges and stuff that they've shown are very uptight. It's very much. It's kind of like remember how they set up like the contests, like the music contests in Youurei in April, where it's like you have to play super by the books and winning the crowd over doesn't matter. It does that kind of thing where it's like
Oh, yeah.
they do the stage the school thing. I forget if it's like a culture festival thing or something. They do the Black Swan there before they do like the school contest thing or something. And they win the crowd over to the point where like the crowd actually asks for an encore. So I guess the first time in this like festival's history that that's ever happened or some shit. And
Mm.
like immediately after, the judges are like, "That wasn't ballet. It was a disgrace," right? Because they basically improved the ending, right? The main character in the script, like the prince is supposed to lose, he's supposed to die, and he gets covered by um, the sort of the lake, which is like this big uh, tarp, essentially.
Right.
But he instead, the main character stands back up, which he's not supposed to fucking do, and they do like an improv ballet, like uh, acting dance,
Oh, classic.
where the prince actually ends up defeating Rothbart, but they all collapse and die in the end. Um, and it wins the crowd over, but the judges are like, "That was a fucking disgrace," right?
Yeah, how
Um,
dare you improvise,
yeah.
bitch.
So they set it up where like the world of ballet is a very strict and brutal one, which is
Conservative and
very
yeah.
very true. Very true. But it's a cool. Um, it's not like entirely unique because again, like I said, it is somewhat comparative to
It's
what
very
they set
like
up
it's kind of like
in your
Whiplash,
lineup.
right? It's kind of
But
like
yeah, it's good. I think.
Mhm.
But yeah, in terms of like the overall plot trajectory, it's very much a sports series. Like if you've seen one, you've probably seen them all. There's going to be 18 more rivalries in this series, I'm sure. They'll have dance battles with them all.
Just to double back really quick to one thing you brought up, does it so does it have like a more of a tone of, I want to like hypothetically I want to be the best in the world, but like more than anything, like having fun, like enjoying this now is kind of the
Yeah.
goal.
So
Okay.
he just loves dancing, right? Like, it is his passion to be a ballet dancer.
Right.
He's not super strung up on, being super technical and doing everything by the books. Like, he just loves.
Essentially, the idea
He
is
he
like
basically wants
I
to
want to
be
put
on
I
stage,
yeah.
right? He wants.
I want to embody my idea of like what it means for me to be a ballet dancer. It's kind of like that vibe.
Yeah.
Okay.
He wants to be the best, but I think as the series goes on, what his definition of the best is and what like the quote unquote ballet like official like community or the judges stance of like what the best is will probably uh split off, and like he'll be like he'll be the best in terms of what the crowd wants to see kind of shit, the standard
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But
Okay.
you
Yeah,
know
because I do enjoy that. That was one of the things that I enjoyed in do enjoy in like stuff like Chihaya Furu, where it's like,
Mhm.
it gets played up as this like, oh man, we're shooting for the top, but then it's like top that they're shooting for is very self-defined. Like it's not like
yeah
it's this official fucking super important thing, especially considering what Chihaya Furu is.
yeah
Right.
um but with that out of the way, I think moving on to audio visuals. Um,
I mean,
this is a mappa series, so
other than like
it's
the weird like the way the eyes reflect the light with the
yeah.
under like the
So
curve. Other than
I
that,
did want to comment on that as well. So the way the eyes are drawn in this series is a little strange. They have
is
this.
that in the manga?
I I mean, it would have to be, right? I can't imagine any
I
other
guess.
reason for
Yeah,
them to draw it like that. But so the way the eyes are drawn in this series is they're very large, if you couldn't tell.
yeah.
They're a lot of the times they're what's the term for the way that like the main character's eyes are like slanted like downward, you know what I mean?
Tareme, tareme, tareme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of eyes are drawn with that like sort of downward slant. Um and the actual eyes themselves have this strange like half circle of light on the bottom. And I'm not really sure what they're going for with that. Like it's almost like there's like a huge ring light under their feet or something. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
weird. And it's a little distracting, but overall, uh, I kind of like the style. There's very long necks. Their heads are a little bit big. Their arms are a little long, but I feel like that's kind of. It seems to be kind of the norm for a lot of these like dancing series. Um, but yeah, as for animation, um, the series is fucking amazing. Um, there's almost no CG in this series at all. I've counted like maybe 2 instances of CG. Um,
Mappa is just like flexing at that point.
yeah,
At
no,
that point, Mappa is just like, well, fuck COVID, fuck fuck all of you.
yeah. There have been like 2 moments of CG where it's been like top-down shots of the stage of them
Yeah.
dancing, which is like,
They have good frames too. It's not like
yeah.
it's like 15
Um,
frames per second or something like that.
And as for like the actual animation itself, I mean, it's really good. Like
It's
it's
Mappa.
insanely fluid. Like
Mappa at its best.
I can't
Absolutely.
imagine that a lot of this stuff isn't rotoscoped, um, or at least done with like it has to be referenced, right?
Can
Like there's no way that a lot of this stuff
can I
is
say
like
something
hand
that'll
in.
upset you a little bit, but it's meant in a good way? This is what Akinohana should have done, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, Akunohana should have at least had some amount of detail
Yeah.
into the characters' like faces, right? Um, but but yeah, like a lot of this stuff that's like in the dance, like I feel like it's either rotoscoped or like heavily referenced, because it's really smooth and there's a lot of fucking frame, and even like just minor character acting stuff. Really, really smooth. It's gorgeous. Like it's fucking beautiful. This is definitely another series that Mappa is just like, yeah, we're a big deal. So what? You know, um, hopefully,
Yeah.
stuff like this isn't fucking like delaying or detracting from like Chainsaw Man. But like, goddamn,
I mean, Chainsaw Man is just gonna get all the contract money in the world. Like
when
once
it's
that happens,
yeah,
once that happens, like Chainsaw Man, because again, for those of you who are not in the know, um, each anime project is like a contract, like how contractors work, right? They get like a specified amount of man hours for like a specified amount of like funding and money and stuff like that, and negotiated. Usually, no extra royalties outside of that for the studio. But anyways, the contract that people are gonna probably receive for Chainsaw Man or Mappa is going to receive for Chainsaw Man, or probably has already kind of outlined for Chainsaw Man, the funding is probably going to be big. It's probably going to be big.
yeah. I can't imagine. But yeah. In terms of audio, I mean the music's pretty standard, right?
Yeah.
It's solid. Um, the voice cast for this is really good. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
You have Taiki Yamashita as the main character.
Mm.
You have Hondo Kaide is the female lead, and then you
Mhm.
have Koki Uchiyama is
Yeah.
Zuo,
Uchiyama Koki
the
especially.
rival. And for me, the standout here has to be Mayumi Asano as the teacher. She's the ballet teacher.
Yes.
She
Yes.
is absolutely amazing as well. She does a really good balance of comedy, like very serious. She's doing her she's doing a very deep voice for this role, and it's really, really good. Um,
Mm.
it definitely like commands presence, and then she does like a lighter tone when she's talking to like the younger ballet students, which I think it's a really nice touch.
Mhm.
But yeah, the voice acting cast is very good in this. Um, and the last thing I wanted to comment on is the OP for this series is animated from a first person perspective, which is really fucking cool and really impressive.
You know what I've said before about like especially when for instance Idolmaster, right, the second Idolmaster, the animation, right,
Yeah,
the one after Xenoglossia, that like the first episode was like pretty much shot almost entirely in first person, right?
yeah.
You know what I said about that, where it's like we need more anime like this, where we're just like seeing stuff in first person and
I
not like
mean,
one
we
room shit,
do,
like actual first person
we
like
do,
shit.
but the thing is, that's fucking hard to animate, right? Because
Yeah, yeah, it is very hard.
it's
I'm not saying
extremely
like,
hard to
yeah,
animate. Because
I'm not saying it's like, oh wow, they should be doing this all the time because it's easy. But I just feel like at least like give us like what one series per year, or like maybe just one series per year where like we can see that shit. It's so cool.
yeah,
God damn it. Yeah.
but yeah, this OP is on a technical level, it's just insane. Like it's a
It's
fucking
very good.
marvel.
It's very good.
There's a shot in the OP where, like in first person, the main character is running up a set of stairs,
Mm-hmm.
and he actually like turns around and runs up like the other set of stairs, and it's like it is CG, but it's shaded in a way that it looks like it's just a drawn background, and it's
Mm-hmm.
really good. And then there's another shot where one character is looking down, and then they look up into the hallway or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
you can tell the way the background is drawn. It's curved in a way so that way that camera motion looks completely natural. It's just like it's super impressive. It's really good.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
I
yeah,
just the art's direction. I mean, again, it's Mappa at its finest. Like, if you
yeah,
guys don't know what we mean by that, like, you guys need to watch more anime. You guys need to stop watching One Punch Man stuff. You guys
yeah.
need to watch this shit. Yeah.
I mean, Mappa's like coming in swinging with this one,
Yeah,
and it's really impressive. But yeah, overall, I'd say this is a really good show. It's a
Yeah,
solid
for sure.
sports series. It's gorgeous. Um, there's really not much you can ask for, right? Especially
Right.
for fans of sports series. Um, you know, if there's one thing that people that like sports series hate, it's the actual sport looking like shit.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and like this looks amazing. But yeah, I would definitely
Especially since
recommend it.
those are essentially like the action scenes, right? For
Yeah,
the stories. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I would highly recommend this show.
Yeah.
Um, it's good. It's very solid.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely recommend this stuff. Dance Dance Danseur too. Again, I've caught up with it. It was one of the stuff that we highlight, one of the series that we highlighted during the previous show, and I'm glad that it did manage to live up to our expectations, or at least some of our standards. So yeah, thank you, Nier, very much for helping to cover Dance Dance Danseur. It is a manga series, right?
Yeah,
It is
it's a
manga
manga
original.
original.
Yeah, manga original. Done by Mappa. Again, Mappa just pulling out all the stops for this. Very good. And yeah, so thank you again, Nier. And we'll move on now, finally, to our news real quick here before we go over to our shoutouts and callouts. Just a few pieces of news, most of them just like company related news stuff. First, Katakal noted that in its financial results document for its fiscal year 2021 on May 12th, that as part of the company's midterm plan for the new fiscal year, it is aiming to establish a quote unquote IP creation structure in Southeast Asia. So I'm guessing that they're because what they mean by this for those of you who are not really in the know about how these studios work is that recently, again, not recently, but in the past like decades, there's been a lot of contracting and subcontracting from Japanese studios to studios in Southeast Asia, to Korea, to Chinese studios and staff. So what I'm guessing Kataka is trying to do is simply they're trying to take over that. They're being like, we're just going to take some of this in house. We're going to take a lot of the infrastructure funding systems, the way we contract some of these, people from Thailand, from Malaysia, from the Philippines, whatever. We're going to take this in house, is what I'm guessing Kataka is planning to do. And they're trying to create a thing where they're not going to have to go back and forth between the Japanese studios and stuff like that. They're just going to see if they can have like the C studios create stuff on the side as well. So that's going to be a little bit interesting. The section mentions the company's plan to develop original IP and media mix of boys love comics. Okay. The blah, blah. Yeah, so the effort will be part of Kataka's larger.
Why is it always called boys' love? Why not girls' love?
Oh, yeah.
Or
It's
because they're
no
boys.
wait. They do have girls love stuff, right?
It's never
Well,
called girls' love though.
what is it called?
There's BL and GL. There's no.
Oh, I guess yeah.
I
It's
mean,
similar enough.
boys do need love too, but like, y- yeah, yeah,
But yeah.
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 Eh, anyways, so Kataka is, I mean, obviously, I don't know whether it'll ever like go on to the West and do stuff, especially since like if like Kataka and like other Japanese places like started having like Western offices, they'll actually like need to pay people proper money because Western
Well,
people actually get paid like more than like whatever Japanese people are getting paid.
they'd
So.
also probably have to stop like harassing and bullying female employees. So
What do you mean this
equal
Has
anti-sexual
the
rights?
law
harassment?
got set
What?
yet?
What are those?
When that law
What do you
drop?
what do you mean this anti-sexual harassment rule has regulation has been in place since the 1980s? Anyways, next piece of news. The Mainichi reported on Tuesday that in the early morning of May 16th, a person sent a bomb threat to the Kai Intellectual Property Law Office in the Chiba Prefecture city of Sakura. This news followed after YouTuber Yuzuha on May 15th registered the trademark of Yukuri Chabangeki, which refers to disembodied head versions of characters from Zun's Toho project that are made by fans. So if you guys don't know what that is, like Yukuri is like Yukuri for short. It's like again, it's like if you guys know the Toho characters, it's like real big like blob head characters, and a
Yeah.
lot of people, a lot of Japanese channels that do like video descriptions, like commentary, stuff like blogs, stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
they'll use the disembodied heads as
yeah, and
like,
text to speech and stuff like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
they'll use these with the female TTS,
Yeah.
and then that's just the video.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how
You,
you can register a trademark for this shit though,
yeah.
because these are owned characters. Like,
In fact, so what is it? Yusa first claimed on Twitter that fans would have to pay 100,000 yen, or about 770 US dollars, for a license agreement. Jesus Christ. She later retracted that statement, but still claimed trademark rights. However, fans criticized Yusa because as of October 2020, YouTube channel Toho Danmaku Kagura staff had confirmed with the ASCII art, ACIR creator, the illustrator, and Zun that anyone could freely use Yukuri Chappangeki. So Yusa was just going out on a limb here. Yuzo had sent requests for trademarks in September 2021. The law office that received the threat applied for the bomb thread from earlier on, applied for the trademark registration on behalf of Yuzo. As a result, multiple fans have called and emailed the law office and formed a petition against Yuzo's trademark. Blah blah. So yeah, I mean, let's not bomb the trademark office, right? And let's not,
yeah, I mean, it's
let's not do
Let's
that.
not
little bit
send
psychotic.
bomb threats.
But
to
also,
trademark.
I feel like
Yeah.
that would never
How-
go through because again,
Yeah,
these are
how would you
owned characters. Like
trademark?
these are trademarked characters.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, like, Zune is in control, not
Yeah.
Yuzuha. So it's
Like even if that trademark went through, they like this person
it
would
just
then
goes.
open themselves up to be sued by Zoom. Like,
Yeah,
so
exactly,
just a fucking
exactly.
retarded move overall.
Yeah, but let's not blow things up. So
Yeah,
just
it's not really a
don't
good
no bomb
idea.
threats here, people. Next piece of news. 13. This is the good one. I posted
Yeah.
this to Dark earlier on, I believe today. But 13 movie studios are suing three people who have produced 10-minute edited summary versions of their films called Fast Movies or
Oh,
Fast
it's so
Eiga
good.
for
That's
500
so
million yen,
good.
or about US 3.9 million. So for those of you who don't know, it's recap channels. If you guys haven't noticed, like recently there's been a lot of like movie recap like YouTube channels where it's like there's a guy doing like commentary where he's like
Oh,
summarizing the movie
you're into
while
Yeah,
those now,
and it's
Fire?
incredible.
yeah. So so these 13 movie studios are suing these some people for like 4 million US dollars. The studios, which include Toho and Nikatsu, filed the lawsuit on May 19th. Police had arrested the Fast Movie online summarizers in July 2021 for illegally uploading content and committing copyright infringement. The movie studios determined the amount of damages by checking the number of all-live views for Fast movies. Checking.
That's not gonna hold up at all.
Yeah,
There's no way.
for fast movies of 54 films that have screened in Japan, such as Shin Godzilla, the studios judged each view as worth 200 yen, or about $2 US. Some fast movies have reached over 2.65 million views.
Dude, it's
But
that's so fucking stupid. Like, look,
$80 million.
like,
I mean, it's
dude,
dumb, but
like,
you have to realize that for Japan, copyright law is like fucked, right? Like
Yeah,
they
it's
just
like
don't
on the
care.
level of like Austria EU
oh yeah,
levels of
no,
Yeah.
I
copyright
mean,
law.
like, it's to me, it's like it's one thing to like try and take action against these channels, like get rid of them and shit. It's another to genuinely like try and start putting numbers to this, because it's like, no, dude, like me watching the
Yeah, but
fucking like
we're also
recap.
dealing with Toho here, so
Mhm.
Yeah,
you gotta
I
keep that
mean,
in
I
mind.
guess.
Like,
Well,
yeah,
no, now we're
I
dealing with movie recap. What are we dealing with here?
well, Toho is the ones that are filing the suit, right? Like, so
Yeah. The thing is, it's like I think like obviously they have a basis for like actually wanting to, because like these are actually like
Oh yeah, yeah,
short,
true.
yeah, like because they're actually like movie, like parts of the movie, and like they're going through the entire
No,
thing.
no, no, yeah. Like
But
I
the
understand that.
whole
What I'm
idea
saying is
of
like the
like
whole
we're
like
gonna
the
catch,
$2 thing. It's like, dude, what the
yeah,
fuck are you
yeah,
talking about? Like,
yeah,
just
exactly. It's
shut
like
down the channels and move on.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. It's like the fact that like we're gonna sue each individual person who makes a YouTube channel and then sue them for $50 trillion. It's like,
yeah.
I don't think
Meanwhile,
you
it's
guys are
like, yeah,
gonna do
good
that.
luck fucking suing the like probably like 16-year-old Bangladeshi kid who fucking
Yeah.
runs one of them. Like,
It's like nobody will ever
Enjoy.
make another recap channel YouTube channel ever again after Toho sues like 3 of them.
For sure.
yeah,
Anyway.
I don't know, man. It's fucking wild
Yeah,
because
it's
it's like
it's still a very like
why
I really hate Japan's
why
method
even
of like
pay the fees yourself to do that when you know
the lawyers and like
like
everything else. Yeah.
it's either like to me it seems petty because it's like you're paying these fees to do this and like how is there not enough people in this process to literally overrule it and say like no, this is a fucking waste of money. Like
Yeah, exactly.
not only are we not going to stop these channels, this literally accomplishes nothing for us, and we're not going to get this money. Like, we're not even going to get this money from these people. If these people had this money to give us, they wouldn't be running these fucking YouTube channels. Like, so we're not getting that money. We're spending money. We're not going to solve the issue of these of these YouTube videos, and we can
there's
just
also the fact that
DMCA the fucking things anyway.
there are people that have already seen the movie that will watch these videos, right? Like,
Well,
this
that's what I
is
mean. Like, and it's not even like are they that deluded that they think that like do they think that I didn't see Battle Royale before I fucking watched like the 15-minute recap because I was bored? Like,
yeah, like, it's just really dumb.
Again,
like
it's like
the
it's
only people watching like people aren't watching recap videos that like haven't seen a movie and have every intention to see it. Like I've
But
watched quite a lot of horror
you're
recaps
dealing with
that are just
Japanese
like,
copyright
yeah,
law where they'll take legal action against um someone posting on Twitter of like what happened in the latest One Piece chapter. Like, so like it's fucking
yeah, I
psychotic.
guess that's fair. It's like, it's so fucking crazy. Like,
I just again, it's I have never appreciated. I mean, even like when like these Japanese like studios and stuff like that have a leg to stand on for like why they're doing it. It's like the way they're doing it is always like it's always so like what are we
It's
gonna
like
how
bad
are we gonna
faith. It's just like always bad faith.
well it's not only bad faith but it's always just like how are you gonna kill this hydra? Well, if you keep cutting its heads off it'll die eventually, right? It's like no,
Yeah.
by definition this is literally not how that hydra dies.
I mean,
That's
it's not even
literally
just
not
like
how you're supposed
cutting
to do
off.
that.
It's like we're cutting off the head of a fucking hydra, but also we're holding the blade by the blade. Like
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
slicing our fucking fingers while we're doing
Yeah,
it. By the
exactly.
way, like
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
completely self-destructive too, because it's like, why are you even wasting your time and money doing this? Like,
Yeah,
I think this at this point has been like the worst example too. Like,
pretty much.
because it's not even just like it's not even like spoilers and shit. It's not like trying to repost like full things. It's like now you're at the point where you're tackling shit where people watching it had no intention of seeing your full movie or paying for it for that matter.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. Much. Anyways, next last piece of news here, and this is the one that came up on our radar a couple of days ago and has been kind of making the rounds on social media. The workers of manga publisher Seven Seas Entertainment announced on Monday that they have formed a union called the United Workers of Seven Seas, or UW7S. The union is working closely with the Communication Workers of America, or CWA. This group seeks to negotiate better working conditions for Seven Seas employees and freelancers. According to the union, the publisher has grown from 10 employees in 2018 to over 40 staff members in 2022. The union's new Twitter account and the website state that Seven Seas workers are quote unquote overworked, underpaid, and do not receive benefits typical of the publishing industry. The group is quote unquote demanding equitable pay, healthcare, and PTO, reasonable workloads, fair deadlines, and a well organized digital office. So yeah,
Good luck getting that in the United States.
yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like I agree with the initial sentiments of a lot of people where it's like it's good to have the union, especially in this sort of industry where, you know, if you give an inch, they'll take a mile, right? Especially,
Yeah.
not even speaking about like the Japanese side, but just like these sorts of like localization, like anime thing, and in general, where like the higher ups always think, like the people that are running these companies always think like, oh, these anime weebs will just get paid like nickels and like a Naruto cover, and then they'll fuck off, right? It's like, again, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and it's good in a base intrinsic sense that these people that are clearly not getting paid enough, right? We've heard plenty of stories from places like even Crunchyroll, who's supposed to be getting all the money or whatever, right, from their
Yeah, and then
connections,
they spent
are
it on
just
that awesome fucking
office. Yeah,
Sakura
exactly.
Blossom Cafe.
Hideous office.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, they're not getting paid enough, and they're getting paid minimum wage and shit, especially even during a time where for instance, a standard translation job in any industry that's not the anime industry, right? The median income for an entry level job is about, I want to say, 40 to 45,000 US dollars, and that was in like 4 years ago, 2 to 4 years ago,
Yeah.
right? And people are still getting paid minimum wage in these, and even less in these localization jobs. So clearly, these anime workers would do well to unionize and try to get better wages. But I also think that they need to work hard to clean up their image, because we can't have people be like, yeah, we need, these honest workers doing, um, hard work and translating and doing stuff, and then have meme pictures of shitty translations and quality stuff like floating online, where it's like, you know uh, translating, I don't know, big boobed character as like boobalicious or whatever it is, or like talking about like, oh, fuck capitalism or whatever, or like adding like three commas at the end of a sentence, or all this bullshit where it's like clearly just bad quality stuff. If they get hit by, I will maintain that if they get hit by bad PR like that, um they will lose, like the chance of them getting proper stuff going on will go from like little slim to zero.
Yeah.
That PR will crush them. So they have to be very tight on that. Like they have to put out the proper work if they want to see these results. So it's unfortunate. It's really bad. I honestly support the guys, and I hope that they get paid proper wages first, and then we can maybe see the results. But they also do need to show the results. So yeah. It's like a chance. Not going to get proper unionization in the anime industry going until we get a hit union-focused light novel series. It's like it's like a Japanese schoolboy gets isekai gets hit by truck-kun, gets isekai into a feudal fantasy, but he also has to ends up becoming a union head. Is that
I
how we're
feel
gonna
like
do this?
I don't really know, but I was thinking suspicion that Japan probably ain't too hot on the unions either.
I mean, if you, I mean, just in general, if you compare like the industries, even just, I mean, the simple example that always gets brought up, for example, is the voice acting industry, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
in the Japanese voice acting industry, unless you are literally like the top 10 people, right? Even if you're like famous, um, like Nakamoto or like Sugita or like around that level, like again, what do we say, like Kanemoto Hisako, right? They
Yeah.
are living pretty, middle income lives at best, right?
Yeah.
um and the people who are, below or haven't broken out, they are having to work extra jobs. They are fucking hobos, essentially. They're near hobos, um compared to what they said, about what people say. I mean, some of the interviews are like based around Simpsons, which obviously is like a big series, and people get paid more. But just in general, like because of the union degree, because of the unionization, because of the sort of wage regulations in the United States, right? People doing voiceovers for cartoons like Batman or like Simpsons or whatever get paid easily way more per episode. If it was rounded up into like a consistent salary, voice actors, like just regular voice actors in America, would be getting paid approximately around the same amount of money as a standard like producer would, right? Like an
Yeah.
assistant producer or like a chief producer would on an anime series. And that's fucked up, right? So it's unfortunate, but it's gonna be even worse in Japan. It's really shitty here, anyways, and people need to fight it first and just see how far they can go. And once they get that edge, don't give it back, but also make sure that the quality of this work needs to also become more professional. It needs to become like the other industries. We can't have this shit where it's like, oh, because it's just anime, it's we're just translating kids stuff. We're gonna translate One-sama to like sissy or like boobs to like boobalicious or whatever. We can't have this quality, right? We need to grow up. We need to be professionals now. So that's my view on it. Anyways, sorry for the tangent. And with that, we are management can't handle our multi-demand picket line. uh, and with that, we are going to finally move on to our last segment, shoutouts and call outs. Sorry for the long segment earlier on. Again, we had to kind of go through our Morbin time. Gotta get that Morbius out of the system. But anyways, every person here will have one shout out and one call out. Each shout out is something that you want to praise. Give 5 out of 5 stars. You glow in your face glows in happiness every time you talk about it. It can be any one person, place, or thing. And call outs are the exact opposite. One thing that you want to rant about. 0 out of 5 complaints over customer service. Angrily typing in customer service chat here. And again, it can be any one person, place, or thing that you're angry about. And we start now with Dark. What do you have for us?
I'm going to shout out actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna shout out I guess ESO again. That game's fun. A cool Elder Scrolls Online is a cool game. It's got a lot of cool stuff in it. Got a lot of DLC to go through. But yeah, it's just very, very solid.
Yeah.
I guess my call out. I'm gonna call out the folks that said that I saw some people, some party poopers in Germa's chat during the Project Diva stream yesterday. They were like, worst stream of 2022. When
How?
that shit was like honestly, like
The stream was amazing.
one of the best. Like the fucking Germa Project Diva like stream was great. I mean, the game before it, like the what's it called, was cool too. Like, that was really fun. Multiverses.
Yeah.
After Pac-Man was kind of shit, but it was kind of funny because like there are a lot of fucked up Pac-Man games I forgot about.
Yeah.
That are just really bad. Like Super Pac-Man. Super Pac-Man might be one of the worst things I've ever seen or heard in my entire life. I would urge everyone to go look up Super Pac-Man and have their volume really low.
Yeah.
How that even happened, that had to have been before the video game crash, right? Like
More than
just
likely.
before,
Yeah.
or like right around it. Like Super Pac-Man very much feels like a video game crash game. You
mean
gotta
like a
see
Twitch
it to
stream
believe
game?
it. It's unreal. No, like it is a. It is like it like I said, like it must have come out around the time that like E.T. came out. Like it is horrendously fucking bad. But the stream, German stream, was really fun. and the Project Diva part fucking rocked. So, yeah. Never thought I'd be watching a German stream, seeing chat and myself fucking beg him to play Alien for like 40 minutes.
All right. Oh, thank you, Dark. And Near, what about you?
I need a quick shout out. Shout out to the fact that it was Spire's birthday yesterday. Happy
Oh,
birthday!
thank you. God damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Near.
Um,
I can feel time creeping up on you all the way over here.
Yep.
Yeah.
time is ticking. The
Getting
days are
older.
running out. Happy birthday. Call outs. I'm gonna call out. I think I'll join the club. I think I'll call out. I think I'm gonna call out Capcom because recently Capcom has put out. They put about a bunch of trailers for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, detailing the new skills and stuff that new the weapons get gotten, and a lot of people are really upset because weapons like Charge Blade and Lance, and a lot of these weapons that a lot of people have been feeling pretty ignored in recent entries, kind of didn't get shit. They didn't get anything really all that cool. And then meanwhile, for whatever fucking reason, they gave Longsword another counter, which means Longsword, which is just like objectively the best fucking weapon in the game.
Wait, like a baseline?
It's another switch skill. So yeah,
Oh,
they
okay.
it's just all counters. Like they have like 4 counters now. So like longsword, which is just like it's just the best weapon in the game because you cannot get hit when you're using longsword because the weapon has counters going out of like every possible move. They gave it another one, which is a super long duration and does a shitload of damage. So again, you just can't be hit, and people are really upset because for a long time, it's very much seemed like uh, the dev team has just kind of been ignoring some weapons while giving just like a bunch of really dumb anime bullshit to like longsword and greatsword. And they're just continuing that trend and not really acknowledging it at all. Just kind of annoying. Um, you know. Oh well.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you, Near. Toast, what about you? Shout out and call up, please.
I'm gonna shout out Data Life 4. Wow, that art style sucks.
That's your shout out.
Data Life Season 1 is still the best animated Data Life ever, and no one will ever argue against it.
And your
Okay, your
shout
call
out?
out.
My call out is also my call out is to the German's face during that last stream. What the
Oh,
hell was wrong with his face?
the worst faces of 2022. Yeah, that was.
Yeah. He looks like he's what? He looks like he lost 10 years, and then his hair, and then
His hair was fucked.
and then
Yeah, I mean, he looked like a child like model hair, like a fucking magazine for like
then
clothes.
this freaking Aquaman shirt, which made it worse somehow, and then his and then the smudge on the screen. Jesus Christ!
Oh my, yeah, this
Good face cam.
the
Best face
bruise.
best face cam 2022. And then especially when he wiped it with his finger, which oily fingers. Nice.
Yeah.
Good stream.
Yeah, he looked like he had a fucking like almost like a face app filter on. It just like aged him up like 5 years. It was fucking weird.
Good. Yeah. Good.
All right. Well, Thank you very much, Toast. And I guess I'll just round it up here. My my shout out. I don't really have too much of a. Oh yeah, my shout out is actually to Yukihiro-san to again just give me another winter themed VN to chew on in the future if I do manage to get around and download it real quick. So that's that. My call out. What is I don't know. I just my call out. What should I call out? I feel like if I call out what was actually in my mind,
This guy's
whatever.
gonna
I'll
get
just
political.
no, 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 no. It's not about. It's not about like. It's not like political stuff like that. Um, I don't know. I just. Well, I don't know. I just.
Yeah.
How do I say? How do I say it? I wanted to shout out people who play MOBA game, like gacha game, or like stuff. I mean, including like Genshin and like,
Ooh,
but
I had
like
the wrong
just like,
call out. I just remembered my real one. Damn.
but
Do
like
it. Do it.
Just
both
reminded me.
both Genshin and just like like literal like just garbage like Kuso like like the like Danmachi mobile game stuff like that, like stuff that will be out of commission in like 6 months, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
stuff that
Like
just has like
Danmachi
no
mobile
future.
game.
yeah.
How long has that
Peop-
been out? Like,
I don't even know. I mean,
It's been out for
the
a little
thing,
bit, for a good bit now, but
yeah,
I don't think that's
but it's
that. I mean,
not.
it's not a very. It's not like a long-winded mobile game.
you,
It's not
you
gonna
know
be
what's a
around for like
long-winded
fucking
mobile
10
game?
years.
Yeah,
Data Life Spirit Pledge.
yeah,
Getting an
but
HD remake next month. Oh yeah.
Wow.
or so they say. Yeah, exactly.
No, it is. It's confirmed.
But but like people who play that sort of stuff and are like just ignorant, just like ignorant about like what it is they're getting into, how that sort of gotcha system compares to all the other gotcha systems, and whether they are ready for it. And like a lot of these people just like, I don't know, they're just like on one end of the spectrum or the other on like what
Man,
free to play means to them. And it's just like they're either always just like, yeah, bro, like everything in this game is easy to get and like it's so fun and worth playing. Or they're like, oh, everything is impossible to get in this game. Like this is the worst, and you have to pay like 100 billion. And there's no like in between, like especially in this era where like all of the Japanese and Chinese like mobile games are pretty much all working around the same set of rates and the same set of like kind of like pool mechanic system and the same sort of sparking system and the same sort of 10 rolls costing X amount of dollars or whatever. So it's like, like, what are you guys expecting at this point? Why are you guys fucking playing this thing? Especially, why are you guys fucking playing games that give you shit, like cards or characters with shitty fucking graphics and animation, in a game that will probably shut down in 3 to 6 months? Why are you guys doing this to yourselves? Just stop. Just stop and stop telling everybody else that this game is either way too hard or way too easy. Just stop it. It's the same shit over and over.
man, I still can't believe most people's first mobile game is freaking Genshin Impact. Like, oh, I spent $10,000 to get
I mean, I can
Raiden
believe
Shogun,
it
and I'm like, okay.
I mean, I can believe it, but
because
it's
it
also upsetting that they're
masquerades
always
too
like,
long as a fucking action adventure game.
yeah, and people keep believing that it's like, oh, it's not a gotcha game at its heart, and it's like
Well,
you
again,
guys are.
I've been told to my fucking face multiple times, Genshin's not a grind game, and I'm like,
Wow.
what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
God damn it.
someone didn't get to
You
adventure
can just
rank
walk
fucking like
around and
50
get shit.
immediately,
You don't have to
and
play
then
the
you
gotcha,
realize,
bro.
wait a minute, this game's grind fucking blows.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much my shout out and call out I had. I just had to get that off my chest.
Dark, what's your real call out? Now
Yeah,
I
what's
want to
actually
know.
your call out?
Oh, my real call out was
Let's
going to
have a
be
little-
to pretty much the same people who are fucking trying to tell me that, like, Genshin's events are good, and also acting surprised that fucking MiHoYo are out here like, oh, how like this skin that's gonna change the particle effects and probably animations and shit for Dillick is $30. It better suck my dick too. It's like my comment was, you guys are really showing that you do not fucking touch any other MOBA like in your entire life, and you've
No.
never branched out, and you don't know anything about them.
Yeah, exactly.
If you think that $30 is fucking shocking for a like particle effect, including
by the way,
like skin.
by the way, everybody in this podcast, for the viewers out there, nobody in this podcast is saying that the prices that Japanese developers and Chinese developers and mobile game developers set for like loot boxes and stuff are like reasonable to
No,
Yeah,
especially
I'm not like,
yeah,
oh,
they're
not
not
reasonable.
That's
They're
not
not
what
I'm
we're saying.
so
What I'm
fair.
happy
saying
about
is
it.
that relative to the general context.
It is the
Because-
industry standard.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that
A
is the
tenpole,
that's the fucking baseline. Like $30
yeah,
for a
yeah,
skin.
$35 is a temple essentially. If you guys want to talk a temp, by the way,
I mean,
temple
$30 is
Japanese means
also
like
a fucking effect skin too, like in every
yeah,
fucking
exactly.
game under the sun. Like,
Yeah.
that's what it's been.
So
So it's like, how are you fucking surprised? Especially to have the gall to be surprised that MiHoYo would fucking charge money like that for something. Like, the discussion I had with Nier, the brief discussion I had with Nier was like, think about the fucking glider pack that they were gonna sell with a shitty glider
yes,
and a fucking
yes,
banner
yes.
for $30.
I remember that as well.
And it's like, they didn't not charge $30 for that because it was shit. They didn't charge $30 because everyone was mad about the anniversary being garbage. Like, that's why they didn't charge for it. So it's not like they learned the lesson of, oh, $30 for something like this is too much. It's like, no, bro, they were going to charge you $30 for a fucking glider. You're lucky
Yeah,
this
exactly.
Dillick skin isn't fucking $60. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying be happy about it, but I'm saying, like, fucking look around you
Understand
and
it's
Know what
realize
to
what you're
you should know what
playing.
to expect. Fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, again, it falls under the same category of people trying to tell me Genshin's not a grinding game. Like, that's exactly what it is. It's a fucking team building grinding game. It's got good
Bro, you don't need to
content,
play
don't
the
get me
gacha.
wrong.
You don't need
That
to
was
play
my thing
gacha,
too, like,
bro.
I get blown
You
up for
kind of
being
do
like
though.
Genshin's
You
events.
kind of
are
do
shit.
need to roll the gacha.
Oh, you
And
absolutely do.
I'm
You need
mocking.
multiple teams
Yeah, I'm making
to
fun
play
of.
that game.
Yeah,
But
it's like, bro, you
the
don't.
thing of like,
The gacha's not the point of the game, bro.
yeah, and also, I mean, it's a lot of people like the grinding thing, and also a lot of people that are like, you know, trying to tell me that like, oh, dude, no, man, like you don't understand. Like Genshin's events are like a cut above, and I'm like,
they're really
no,
not.
they're not, dude. Like the content of Genshin's events are pretty good a lot of the time. Like the content
I mean,
that's
they're
there
solid with like
is
the mini
solid.
games and stuff, but like
But the fucking rewards
there's
as an
typically
event
there's
are
typically no
trash.
reason to do them because it's like you get like a lot of times you don't even get like a fucking roll's worth of gems. Like it's fucking
For some
insane.
of them you don't. A lot of them recently, like you do. You get like, I think the most recent one, you get like 360 primos, but then like your upgrade materials and shit are like pitiful. You get like fucking a day's worth or less of fucking upgrade materials. And it's like, what the fuck is this? Like,
Yeah.
which, to put that in perspective, is like not even close to like nudging a character's level. Like, to fucking level a character entirely and not even like raise their talents. I did the math a while ago. It takes like a month of grinding for one character to 90 with I think it's like one character to 90 with level like 7 or 8 talents or something like that. And that's just from the experience and money you need. Like the experience book and money. So that's not taking into account all the other boss materials and shit you also spend resin on, like stamina. So, like, when events don't reward you, like when an event essentially isn't giving you enough materials to almost max out one character, I'm basically just like, this event is shit. Like, this event's dog shit. Because I've played more than enough games where it's like, yeah, here's an event with like, the events are what you're playing essentially for. Like, the in between is fine, but then like the events are like the massive fucking blowout. Like, what you've been looking forward to doing in the game, like what you've been looking forward to upgrading, like you're definitely getting now. So
Mhm. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but the community has always kind of been like that. So, anyways, thank you very much, Dark, for the real call out. Sorry for me, dragging us into this sort of this Genshin tangent. Sorry guys out there. But yeah, that was our Shoutouts call outs. And this was our episode. That was the end of episode 197 again. We are going to do one more episode after this for the spring 2022 season, go on to the preview, and then we should be pretty much on track to hit the episode ones for the summer 2022 season down the road in about a month or so. So yeah, that'll be the schedule for that. I'm still trying to think of something that we can do maybe for episode 200. But just stay tuned for that on our social media.
Obviously, we all go and roll on Genshin Impact 200
Yeah,
times.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, if you do like what we do, we stream our recording of our podcast live every other Saturday, starting from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over at twitch.tv/4PlayAnimecast. That's with the numeral 4, where we talk about the latest and greatest in Japanese animation, media, anime, manga, light novels, web novels, visual novels, and so much more. So check us out here. We have a recording of the podcast in VOD format on Twitch as well as on YouTube. So check us out, whichever format that you please. YouTube channel 4PlayAnimecast, of course. Check us on our social media for updates and information on Facebook, 4PlayAnimecast, as well as on Twitter handle at 4PlayAnimecast. Again, all with the numeral 4. And as always, we'll see you next time.